Welcome to a world where ancient voices still whisper through the winds. Step into the timeless stories of native tribes, filled with sacred rituals, powerful legends, and deep-rooted wisdom. Grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and prepare to walk the path of spirit, strength, and mystery. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. Your roots matter here. If these stories move you, give this video a like and subscribe for more sacred journeys. The drum beats are calling. Let the journey begin. The Choctaw were the first Native American tribe to sign a treaty with the United States, but also among the first to endure forced removal, known as the Trail of Tears, losing half their people to hunger and disease. Today, they are a vibrant, sovereign nation with one of the largest native populations in the U.S., thriving through language revitalization, economic growth, and cultural renaissance. This is the story of a people who carry fire, not just in their hands, but in their hearts. Before the rivers were named, before the tall pines whispered their secrets, there was only water, endless, dark, and silent. It stretched far beyond. The horizon, a vast mirror reflecting the sky, the stars, and the quiet breath of the earth itself. From this water, the world would be born, but not by accident. It was a gift. A sacred act of creation whispered by the Creator. The Choctaw people tell a story of beginnings unlike any other. It is a tale of earth lifted from the deep by the breath of Naniwaya, the sacred mound, the heart of their homeland. This mound is no ordinary hill. It is the first land, rising from the watery chaos, where the Creator placed the first fire. That fire was not meant to burn wood or flesh, but to spark life, to light the path. For the Choctaw people who would come, according to tradition, the first Choctaw were shaped from this fire and earth, born as the people of the mound, carrying within them the strength of the soil and the spirit of the flame. The earth is not just ground beneath their feet. It is their mother, the very source of their identity. The fire is not just warmth or light, but the spark of their soul, a symbol of endurance, transformation, and hope. This origin story is more than myth. This is a living connection to land and spirit that breathes through every part of Choctaw life. The mound stands as a silent witness to centuries of sunrises, storms, and ceremonies. It reminds the people that they are children of the earth and keepers of the fire, a fire that has survived floods, wars, and forced journeys. The story tells us that from this sacred fire and earth, the Choctaw learned their first lessons to respect the land, to listen to the wind, and to carry their history not just in words, but in their bones. It is said that every Choctaw carries the fire in their heart, a burning flame that guides them through hardship and renewal. Imagine standing on the edge of that mound, the sky vast above, the wind stirring the grass, and feeling the weight of thousands of years pressing softly against your skin. It is here where past and present meet, where the stories of ancestors ripple like the gentle waves of a lake. The Creator's fire is never extinguished. It flickers in the smoke of sacred ceremonies and glows in the eyes of children learning to sing their language. It dances in the flame of the campfire and shines in the quiet moments of reflection. This fire binds the Choctaw to their beginning, But it also points to a future they must carry forward. As the earth holds the fire, so too does the Choctaw hold their identity, fierce and unbroken. Their story is a circle, not a line. The fire that started at Naniwaya still burns today in every gathering, every prayer, every act of survival and sovereignty. And so, from this sacred mound rises the story of a people who have known pain and triumph, loss and renewal, silence and song. From this fire, the towns and families grew. From this fire, the Choctaw learned to build homes beneath the sky. From this fire, their journey began. Imagine a place where the land breathes with life. Tall oak trees stretch their arms to the sky. Wildflowers carpet the ground, and the hum of cicadas fills the summer air. Here, nestled between rivers and hills, the Choctaw people built their towns, vibrant, close-knit communities shaped by respect for nature and each other. Unlike the cities we know today, Choctaw towns were small but alive with purpose. Houses were built with skill and care, constructed from timber and thatch, their walls and roofs woven tightly to protect against wind and rain. These homes weren't just shelters, they were the centers of family life, places where stories were told, songs were sung, and traditions were passed from one generation to the next. Each town was a tapestry of clans, with families bound not only by blood but by shared responsibility. The Choctaw had a complex system of clans, like bear, panther, or bird, each carrying unique roles, duties, and stories. These clans were the backbone of society, weaving individuals into a community stronger than the sum of its parts. Daily life moved with the seasons, guided by the cycles of nature and the land's gifts. In spring, families planted the sacred three sisters, corn, beans, and squash, crops that supported each other as much as the people who tended them. Summer brought fishing in the clear rivers, and the gathering of wild berries and nuts. Autumn was time for harvest and celebration, a moment to give thanks for the earth's generosity. And winter was for rest, reflection, and gathering close to the fire. Women played a central role in this rhythm, not only as caretakers of the home, but as keepers of the land and tradition. They were skilled gardeners, healers, and teachers, guiding children through their first steps and stories. Men were hunters, warriors, and leaders in council, but their strength was measured not just by battle, but by their wisdom and care for the people. Marriage was a sacred bond, carefully arranged within clan rules to ensure harmony and balance. Marrying within the same clan was forbidden, a rule designed to strengthen ties between different families and avoid conflict. Family was more than just parents and children. It was a web of uncles, aunts, cousins, and elders, all with a voice and a place at the table. Children were raised with respect and freedom, learning by watching and doing rather than strict instruction. They learned the language of the forest, which plants healed, which animals to follow, and how to listen to the wind. Play was work, and work was a lesson in survival and community. The town itself was a living organism. The council house stood at its heart, where leaders met to discuss peace, war, and the welfare of the people. Ceremonies marked the passage of seasons and stages of life, binding the community together in shared experience. Beyond the towns, nature was never far away. The Choctaw understood that their survival depended on the balance between people and the environment. Hunting was done with respect. No animal was wasted. Rivers were clean and sacred, and the forests were places of learning and spirit. Even discipline was tied to community values. Punishments were not cruel, but restorative, designed to heal both the individual and the group. Shame and honor were powerful forces that kept people connected and responsible. Life beneath the Choctaw sky was a balance of joy and duty, of individuality and belonging. It was a place where every person mattered, every story counted, and every sunrise brought the promise of a new day. This world of towns and families was the foundation on which the Choctaw would face the greatest challenges to come in the quiet moments before dawn. When the world still holds its breath, the Choctaw people listen. They listen to the wind weaving through the trees, to the songs of birds waking the sky, and to the rhythm of their own hearts. For the Choctaw, the natural world is alive, filled with spirits, lessons, and messages waiting to be heard. Their spirituality is not separate from daily life. It is the thread that binds everything together. The sky above, the earth below, the rivers that flow, all are sacred, all are part of a living story. The Choctaw believe that the Creator gifted them with these songs, these rituals, to keep balance between the seen and unseen worlds. One of the most important ceremonies is the Green Corn Festival. It is more than a celebration of harvest. It is a powerful act of renewal. During this festival, the people come together to cleanse their bodies and spirits, to ask for forgiveness, and to strengthen their bonds with each other and the land. Fires are kindled, prayers are spoken, and songs rise like smoke, carrying hopes and gratitude to the Creator. Music and dance are at the heart of these rituals. Drums beat like the heartbeat of the earth, steady and deep. Voices chant in the old language, weaving stories of creation, bravery, and healing. Every movement, every note is intentional, a way to honor ancestors and invite their wisdom into the present. Animal spirits hold special significance. The Choctaw recognize certain animals as guardians, teachers, or messengers. The bear represents strength and healing. The eagle soars as a symbol of vision and connection to the heavens, while the panther embodies courage and stealth. To see these animals, whether in dreams or the wild, is to receive guidance, a message from the spirit world. Dreams themselves are sacred, carrying warnings, lessons, and sometimes the future. Elders teach that paying attention to dreams is essential to living a good life. A bad dream is not just fear, but a call to change. A chance to listen more closely to what the world is trying to tell you. Healing rituals are deeply woven with respect for nature's medicines. Plants like sweetgrass, sage, and cedar are burned to purify spaces and people. Water from sacred springs is used for cleansing, while songs and prayers accompany every healing act. The healer is not only a medicine person, but a bridge between the physical and spiritual realms. The Choctaw understand that life is a delicate balance between light and shadow, joy and sorrow, life and death. Their ceremonies mark this balance, helping the community navigate challenges and celebrate blessings with humility and strength. Every ritual, every song, is a reminder that they are part of something much larger, a timeless dance with the wind and sky, the earth and water, the ancestors and the future dot as the sun rises higher and the festival fires fade. The Choctaw prepare for another challenge, the call to defend their people and land through courage, strategy, and unyielding spirit. The Choctaw were warriors, but not in the way most imagine. Their strength was measured not only by skill with weapons, but by wisdom, strategy, and diplomacy. They understood that survival was a balance of courage on the battlefield and calm negotiation in the council house. Before the thunder of muskets and the echo of foreign horses, the Choctaw protected their lands with bows carved from hickory and arrows tipped with stone or bone. Their warriors were swift, silent, and fiercely loyal, trained from youth to move like the panther stalking through the forest. War dances prepared them for battle, not just physically, but spiritually, calling on ancestral spirits to guide their hands and steady their hearts. But fighting was never their only option. The Choctaw were skilled diplomats, known throughout the Southeast for their ability to negotiate peace, forge alliances, and navigate shifting political landscapes. They made treaties with neighboring tribes and European settlers alike, often acting as mediators in conflicts that threatened the balance of the region. Their leaders were wise men and women who held counsel beneath towering oaks, their voices steady as they debated the future of their people. They knew when to draw their swords and when to extend a hand, understanding that diplomacy was a weapon just as sharp as any arrow. This delicate balance was tested again and again. As European powers vied for control, the Choctaw carefully weighed alliances, sometimes siding with the French, sometimes the British, always striving to protect their sovereignty and lands. They fought alongside colonists in the American Revolution, hoping to secure peace and respect for their nation, only to be met with broken promises. The Choctaw's ability to blend warrior spirit with diplomacy was crucial during the early 19th century, when pressure from the expanding United States government threatened to tear their world apart. Leaders like Pushmataha, a revered war chief and skilled negotiator, became legendary for their fierce defense of Choctaw rights and lands, while also advocating for peaceful relations. Whenever possible, Pushmataha's speeches carried the weight of a people determined to survive. He spoke with clarity and fire, warning that the Choctaw would fight if forced, but preferred peace that respected their dignity and place in the world. His leadership embodied the tribe's philosophy, strength tempered by wisdom, bravery matched with caution. But even the most skillful diplomacy could not prevent the tide of colonization. The Choctaw found themselves caught between impossible choices: to fight or to negotiate, to resist or to survive. Their warriors continued to defend villages and hunting grounds, while their diplomats signed treaties that slowly chipped away at their ancestral lands. Yet through every trial, the Choctaw remained resilient. Their warriors did not only fight with weapons, They fought with culture, language, and ceremony. Their diplomats did not simply negotiate. They carried the hopes of generations, speaking for those who could no longer raise their voices. This chapter of survival, where swords met speeches, where war dances blended with council fires, shaped the Choctaw identity for centuries. It was a dance of shadows and light, danger and hope, a testament to a people who refused to be erased. The story of warriors and diplomats is far from over. It would soon enter its darkest chapter, when forced removal would test every ounce of courage and spirit the Choctaw had ever known. The land they called home, the rolling hills, the lush forests, the rivers shimmering with life, was taken from them not by force alone, but by the cruel stroke of a pen. In the 1830s, the Choctaw faced a decision they never wanted to make: leave their ancestral lands in Mississippi and Alabama, or face the unrelenting push of a government bent on expansion. This journey, later known as the Trail of Tears, was a forced march that would test the limits of human endurance and spirit. The Choctaw were the first to walk it, setting a tragic precedent for other tribes to follow. They traveled thousands of miles on foot, facing blistering heat, freezing cold, disease, hunger, and exhaustion. Thousands perished along the way. Mothers buried children by the roadside. Elders who had carried the wisdom of generations crumbled in fatigue. But even as grief weighed heavy, the Choctaw did not surrender their identity. They carried their fire within them, the flame of resilience passed down from Nani Waya. Their sacred mound. Personal stories emerge from this dark chapter like sparks in the night. One woman, clutching a small bundle of belongings, paused by a swollen river. She sang a lullaby to calm her frightened child, her voice trembling but unwavering. A young warrior helped an elderly man cross rough terrain, knowing that the strength of the tribe depended on every soul. Despite suffering unimaginable loss, the Choctaw forged ahead. They shared what little food they had, sang prayers beneath starry skies, and found moments of grace in acts of kindness. The journey was not just a physical ordeal, it was a spiritual test. Even the landscape seemed to mourn with them. The earth, which had nurtured their ancestors, now bore silent witness to their pain. Yet, it also held their footprints, their tears, and their unbroken promise to survive. When the survivors finally reached the unfamiliar lands of present-day Oklahoma, they found a terrain as foreign as the political system that had uprooted them. Yet they began again. They rebuilt homes, planted fields, and rekindled ceremonies, proving that displacement could not extinguish their fire. Their endurance during the Trail of Tears is a testament to the strength of the Choctaw spirit, a spirit that refuses to be broken even in the darkest of times. It is a story of heartbreak, yes, but also of hope, of a people who, despite losing their lands, never lost themselves. When the weary Choctaw finally crossed into Indian territory, land unfamiliar and raw, they were met with a daunting challenge: how to rebuild a nation from the ashes of loss. The soil was different, the climate harsher, and the memories of home lingering like shadows. Yet, beneath the sorrow, a fierce determination burned. They didn't arrive as broken remnants, but as a people bound by shared history and vision. Families that had survived the Trail of Tears settled into villages that mirrored the ones they had lost but bore the marks of new beginnings. Thatched homes rose beside streams, fields of corn, beans, and squash took root in the red earth, and council fires flickered once more under vast Oklahoma skies. Rebuilding meant more than structures. It meant reclaiming identity. The Choctaw established schools to teach their children the language and customs that outsiders once tried to erase. They created courts, laws, and governments, a sovereign nation in exile navigating a complex relationship with the United States while asserting their rights. Women, as always, were pillars of this rebirth. They nurtured families, tended the land, and carried oral histories that kept culture alive. Men returned from hunting expeditions and council meetings with plans to strengthen their people's place in a world that sought to confine them. Life in Indian territory was a blend of tradition and adaptation. While the Choctaw preserved sacred ceremonies and clan systems, they also embraced new tools and ideas to survive and thrive. Farming techniques evolved, new crops were introduced, and trade networks expanded to sustain the growing community. Yet, threats lingered. The pressure to assimilate into American society through missionaries, government agents, and boarding schools persisted. Still, the Choctaw resisted the slow erosion of their sovereignty with quiet strength, holding fast to the fire lit at Naniwaya. Their journey of rebuilding was a profound act of resilience. It demonstrated that a people can lose everything, yet remain unbroken, forging a future on the foundation of memory and hope. Just when the Choctaw thought they had begun to heal, a new storm arrived, quiet but devastating. The allotment era, fueled by the Dawes Act of 1887, was a government policy designed to break up tribal lands into individual plots. It promised citizenship and progress, but for the Choctaw, it was a betrayal that threatened to unravel everything they had rebuilt. Communal land, once held as sacred and shared among the people, was divided into small parcels assigned to individual households. The idea was to force assimilation to turn Choctaw farmers into American-style landowners. But the policy ignored the Choctaws' deep cultural connection to land as a collective, spiritual trust, not just property. Worse, much of the surplus landlands not allotted to individuals was sold to non-native settlers, dramatically shrinking the Choctaw Nation's territory. The very soil that had sustained generations was slipping through their fingers, often without their consent or fair compensation. The impact was shattering. Families lost land through taxes they didn't understand or couldn't pay. Some parcels were sold off under pressure or fraud. The social fabric of the Choctaw Nation began to fray as communal bonds weakened under the weight of imposed individualism. But the Choctaw did not vanish. They fought back through petitions, legal battles, and persistent advocacy. Leaders worked tirelessly to protect their people from further dispossession and to preserve their language, culture, and governance. This period also revealed the complexities of identity, citizenship. Within the United States came with promises, but also restrictions. Many Choctaw found themselves caught between two worlds, expected to conform to American laws and customs while striving to keep their traditions alive. Yet through the upheaval, Choctaw culture proved resilient. Ceremonies continued quietly, families kept speaking their language, and the fire of sovereignty smoldered beneath the surface. The pain of betrayal was real, but so was the determination to endure. The allotment era left scars landlocked, communities disrupted, trust broken, but it also strengthened a collective will to reclaim what was taken. It set the stage for future efforts to restore rights, revive culture, and assert identity in a changing world. Language is more than words. It is the heartbeat of a people. For the Choctaw, their language carries the echoes of ancestors, the wisdom of the earth, and the rhythm of ceremonies passed down through centuries. But after years of forced assimilation, boarding schools, and government policies aimed at erasing native tongues, Choctaw found themselves fighting to save their language from fading into silence. In the early 20th century, children were taken from their families and sent to boarding schools where speaking Choctaw was forbidden. They were punished for using their mother tongue, forced to learn English instead. These schools sought to erase identity, to break the bonds between generations. As a result, many young Choctaw grew up disconnected from the language that had defined their people for millennia. This loss was not just about vocabulary, it was a break in the circle of culture. Without language, stories lost their meaning, ceremonies lost their power, and the connection to land and spirit grew fragile. Elders, the last fluent speakers, carried the burden of memory, watching the world around them change faster than the words could keep up. But the fire of Choctaw language was never fully extinguished. It lived quietly in homes where grandparents whispered old songs and children learned words from aunts and uncles. It survived in the pauses between English sentences and the secret prayers said at night. In recent decades, a new generation has risen with fierce determination to reclaim their voice. Language immersion programs sprouted in schools and community centers. Digital tools like apps and online dictionaries made learning more accessible. Teachers traveled to distant towns, bringing Choctaw lessons to children eager to connect with their heritage. This revival is not just educational, it's deeply personal. Every new speaker is a victory against erasure. Every conversation in Choctaw is a reclaiming of identity, a revival of spirit. The language carries concepts that English cannot fully capture, words that honor relationships, nature, and the sacred rhythms of life. Choctaw youth are now performing songs, telling stories, and even writing poetry in their native tongue. Their voices blend tradition with modernity, showing that language is not frozen in time, but alive and evolving. Through their efforts, the Choctaw are not just saving a language, they are healing a people. The fight to preserve Choctaw continues, with challenges still ahead. But the spark is strong, and with every word spoken, every lesson taught, the language grows brighter, lighting the way forward. In Choctaw society, women are not just caretakers, they are the heart, the wisdom, the unbreakable backbone of community. Their voices carry stories, laws, and traditions that have sustained their people through centuries of change and challenge. In every household, in every village, women hold a sacred place of respect and power. Family is central to Choctaw life, and women play a vital role in shaping it. They are the keepers of clan identity, which is matrilineal, meaning children belong to their mother's clan. This system strengthens bonds across generations and guides social relationships, marriage, and responsibilities. A woman's clan defines not just her family, but her role in the community. Marriage customs emphasize respect and balance. Women often hold significant influence in decision-making, from household matters to broader community issues. Far from being silent or subordinate, Choctaw women have traditionally been leaders, healers, teachers, and peacekeepers. The stories passed down through the generations honor strong women mothers who nurtured hope during hardship, warriors who defended their people, and grandmothers who held the knowledge of medicines and ceremonies. These women carried the spiritual flame and ensured its passage to new generations. Taboos and customs surrounding family life underscore the deep respect for women. Certain behaviors, gestures, and roles are guided by tradition, reinforcing harmony within relationships and society. Women's health and fertility are celebrated, and special rituals mark important transitions, such as coming of age and childbirth. Despite the pressures of colonization, boarding schools, and forced assimilation, Choctaw women have continued to lead quietly and fiercely. Their resilience shines in community organizing, cultural preservation, and the revitalization of language and traditions. In modern times, Choctaw women balance tradition and innovation. They participate in tribal government, education, and activism while nurturing the ancestral knowledge that defines their identity. Their strength is both visible and subtle, a quiet force shaping the future. The Choctaw Nation today is a powerful example of resilience and renewal. From the heartbreak of forced removal to a future shaped by sovereignty and vision, the Choctaw people have carved out a thriving nation that honors its past, while embracing the modern world. With over 200,000 members, the Choctaw Nation is one of the largest tribes in the United States. Their tribal government operates with full sovereignty, managing everything from education and health care to housing and infrastructure. The nation's capital in Durant, Oklahoma, hums with activity, blending tradition and progress in every corner. Economic development has been central to this resurgence. The Choctaw Nation owns and operates casinos, manufacturing businesses, agriculture ventures, and more. These enterprises provide thousands of jobs and fund programs that support tribal members across multiple states. But economic growth is never just about money. For the Choctaw, it is a tool for cultural preservation and community empowerment. Education holds a special place in the nation's priorities. Choctaw language classes flourish in schools, while scholarship programs help young people pursue higher education. Tribal colleges and cultural centers serve as hubs for learning and connection, weaving traditional knowledge into academic life. Healthcare initiatives reflect a deep commitment to well-being. Clinics offer modern medical care alongside traditional healing practices, acknowledging the importance of body, mind, and spirit. Programs addressing mental health, addiction, and diabetes are designed to meet the specific needs of their communities. Cultural revival pulses through art, music, and ceremony, Choctaw artists are gaining national recognition, weaving beadwork and pottery with contemporary themes. Annual festivals celebrate dance, storytelling, and heritage, drawing people together in joyful remembrance. The Choctaw Nation also plays a strong role in politics and advocacy. Tribal leaders work closely with local, state, and federal governments to protect their rights and advance policies that benefit indigenous peoples. Their voice resonates on issues like environmental protection, education funding, and sovereignty. Technology and innovation have not been overlooked. The Choctaw embrace digital tools to connect distant members, document language, and share their culture with the world. Social media platforms buzz with stories, tutorials, and celebrations, bridging generations and geographies. Yet, despite all progress, the Choctaw remain deeply grounded in their values. The fire lit long ago at Naniwaya still guides decisions, reminding the nation that success is measured not just by wealth, but by the health of their culture and community. Modern Choctaw life is a testament to the strength of identity and the power of self-determination. It is a living, evolving story of survival, hope, and pride. As the Choctaw look forward, they carry with them the weight of history and the light of possibility. In the gentle curves of a beaded necklace, the delicate lines of a pottery vessel, or the soaring notes of a song passed through generations, the Choctaw people carry their history. Art and storytelling are not mere decoration or entertainment, they are the lifeblood of memory, the threads that connect the past to the present and future. For centuries, Choctaw artisans have woven stories into their crafts. Beadwork tells of clans and ancestors, while intricate pottery patterns reflect the land and its creatures. These creations speak a language all their own, one that honors sacred symbols and carries spiritual meaning. Every stitch, every brushstroke, every carved design holds a piece of the tribe's soul. Storytelling is woven into the fabric of Choctaw life. Elders gather with children around the fire to share tales of creation, bravery, and morality. These stories are not just myths, they are lessons, warnings, and celebrations. They teach values like courage, kindness, respect for nature, and the importance of community. Oral histories preserve the names and deeds of heroes and ancestors, ensuring that even as time passes, the wisdom of those who came before is never forgotten. These stories offer identity and grounding, a map for navigating life's challenges. In recent years, Choctaw artists and storytellers have embraced new mediums, blending tradition with innovation. Writers publish books in both English and Choctaw, filmmakers capture ceremonies and interviews. Musicians infuse traditional songs with contemporary sounds. Social media platforms provide new stages to share culture, reaching audiences far beyond reservation borders. This living tradition is more than preservation, it is revitalization. It transforms history from a static record into a dynamic force that shapes identity and pride. The echoes of the past resonate in today's art, reminding Choctaw youth of their roots and inspiring them to carry the fire forward. Through art and storytelling, the Choctaw Nation reclaims their narrative on their own terms. It is a powerful act of survival, one that honors the pain and triumph woven through their history. As the stories are told and retold, the memory of the Choctaw people continues to grow, like ripples across a still lake ever expanding, ever. A live dot in the faces of Choctaw children, the future burns bright. They are the next chapter in a story written in fire and earth, sung in songs that stretch back to Noniwaya, and spoken in a language that refuses to fade. These young people are the fire carriers, the keepers of culture, the voices of renewal, and the architects of tomorrow. The journey of the next generation is both a continuation and a transformation. They inherit the struggles and triumphs of their ancestors, yet they also live in a world vastly different from the one before. Technology, education, and modern life offer new tools and challenges, and the young Choctaw are learning to weave these into their identities with creativity and pride. Language immersion schools teach children to speak Choctaw fluently, restoring a connection once threatened by silence. Programs blend traditional knowledge with science, history, and arts, encouraging youth to explore their heritage while preparing for the wider world. Social media amplifies their voices, allowing stories, music, and activism to travel beyond borders. Many young Choctaw are stepping into roles as cultural leaders, educators, and advocates. They organize powwows, lead language classes, and campaign for environmental protection. They are the storytellers who breathe new life into old legends, the artists who blend beadwork with contemporary styles, and the activists demanding recognition. And justice. Yet, carrying the fire is not without weight. The legacy of trauma and displacement lingers, boarding school scars, broken treaties, and ongoing challenges remind them of a past marked by loss. But with that awareness comes strength and determination to heal, to honor ancestors, and to shape a future defined not by oppression, but by resilience. Families and communities nurture this growth. Elders pass down wisdom, sharing stories and teachings that ground young people in identity and purpose. Ceremonies mark milestones, weaving the sacred into everyday life and reminding youth of their place in a long lineage. The fire carried by this generation is fierce and adaptable. It burns in classrooms, on digital screens, in dance circles, and in quiet moments of reflection. It is a fire that demands respect not just for history, but for possibility. As these young Choctaw look ahead, they hold the promise of renewal. Their journey is a bridge from the sacred earth of the past to the vast horizons of the future. They carry with them the unbroken flame of a people who have endured centuries of change, yet remain steadfast. This fire is their inheritance and their gift. It is the light that will guide the Choctaw people through new challenges, new stories, and new beginnings. And so, as one chapter closes and another begins, the flame continues to burn bright, steady, eternal. This concludes our journey through the rich and enduring story of the Choctaw Nation. May their fire inspire all who hear it to remember, to honor, and to carry forward the legacy of those who came before. The Nez Perce were renowned horsemen and master strategists who eluded capture for months. During a harrowing 1,170-mile retreat against the U.S. cavalry in 1877, a story of courage, survival, and heartbreaking betrayal. Today, the Nez Perce Nation preserves their traditions and memories on their ancestral lands in Idaho and beyond, balancing modern life with the powerful legacy of their ancestors. This is the story of a people who soared like eagles, free, fierce, and unbroken, before the mountains carved the horizon and the rivers carved their paths through the earth. There was only the wind. It whispered softly across the vast plains and through the dense forests. That would one day become the homeland of the Nez Perce. This wind was not just a breeze. It was a living spirit, a breath of creation that carried the first song of life. The Nez Perce people say they were born of this wine shaped by the breath of the world itself. Their origin stories tell of Coyote, the trickster and creator, who brought life to the land with mischief and wisdom. From the wind and the earth, the first people rose, connected to every mountain peak and flowing river. They were never separate. From nature, they were woven into its fabric, like threads in a vast tapestry. Imagine standing on the edge of the Clearwater River as dawn breaks. Mist rises from the water, like the spirits of ancestors returning to greet the day. The scent of cedar and sage fills the air. The land feels alive, humming with stories that have traveled through generations, carried by the wind itself. For the Nez Perce, every animal, every rock, every tree holds meaning. The eagle soaring high is more than a bird, it is a messenger. Between worlds, a symbol of vision and strength. Salmon swimming upstream are not just food. They are a sacred gift, connecting life cycles of water and spirit. The earth beneath their feet is sacred ground, shaped by the same forces that shaped them. This creation story is not just a tale of beginnings, it is a living relationship. It teaches that people must listen to the land and respect its rhythms. It reminds them that all life is connected through the breath of the wind and the pulse of the earth. To live well is to honor these connections every day. The wind also carries lessons of resilience and change, just as it can be gentle or fierce. So too can life be calm or full of storms. The Nez Perce learned to move with these winds, adapting to seasons, challenges, and new horizons while keeping the spirit of their origins alive. In ceremonies, songs echo these truths. Drums mimic the heartbeat of the world. Voices rise and fall like the wind itself. These songs are prayers calls to the Creator, to the ancestors, and to the land that sustains them. This deep connection to creation shaped every part of Nez Perce life. It guided their movements across the land, their choices of where to fish, hunt, and gather. It inspired their art, their stories, and their understanding of time not as a line, but a circle, where beginnings and endings intertwine. As the sun climbs higher over the mountains, the Nez Perce people continue to carry this origin with them. It is a compass, a source of strength, and a reminder of who they are. Born of the wind, shaped by the earth, they are a people bound to the land and to the spirit that breathes through all things. From this sacred beginning, the story flows into the lives they built, villages and families, daily rituals and shared dreams. The wind that gave them life now carries the voices of their communities. The Nez Perce people are, above all, a river people. Their lives flow with the currents of the Clearwater, the Snake, And the salmon rivers, waters that have carved deep canyons and fertile valleys through the rugged landscape of the Pacific Northwest. These rivers are not just physical landmarks, they are the veins of life, carrying food, spirit, and stories from one generation to the next. Imagine a Nez Perce village at dawn. Nestled on a gentle riverbank, mist rises from the water, wrapping the wooden homes in a soft embrace. The air is cool, scented with cedar and earth. Children stir as elders prepare for the day. The quiet sounds of stirring fires and soft songs blending with the call of birds waking in the trees. This is a place where daily life is deeply tied to nature's rhythm, where survival is both practical and sacred. The homes themselves tell stories of connection and adaptability, built from the resources the land provides. Nez Perce dwellings often took the form of chew reed lodges, woven mats, and branches shaped into sturdy, smoke-filled sanctuaries that kept families warm during cold mountain nights. These homes were more than shelter. They were gathering places where stories were shared, lessons passed down, and community bonds strengthened. Family units in these villages were the building blocks of society. Kinship extended beyond the nuclear family, weaving a rich network of uncles, aunts, cousins, and elders, each with roles and responsibilities. The Nez Perce lived in clans, extended families that carried traditions, names, and histories. These clans were essential to social structure, regulating marriage, responsibilities, and leadership. No one was truly alone. Every person was part of a larger circle. Daily life followed the steady pulse of the seasons. Spring was a time of renewal, when the people prepared for planting and fishing. The rivers swelled with snowmelt, and salmon returned to spawn, their arrival heralded by excitement and reverence. Fishing was both a means of survival and a sacred act. Nets were cast with gratitude, and the salmon were honored as gifts from the Creator. The timing of these runs was critical, and Nez Perce fishers developed intimate knowledge of the rivers, moods, currents, and the habits of the fish. Summer brought warmth and abundance. Families spread out to hunt deer, elk, and small game in the surrounding forests and mountains. Women gathered berries, roots, and medicinal plants, their knowledge passed down through generations. This gathering was more than collection. It was a dialogue with the earth, a way to listen and receive without taking more than was needed. Children learned by watching and participating. From a young age, they were taught how to track animals, identify plants, and respect the environment. Play and learning were intertwined. Every moment outside was a chance to understand the world around them. They were not separate from nature, they were part of it. The role of women in Nez Perce society was profound and respected. Women were gardeners, healers, and teachers. They cared for the family's health and well-being and preserved cultural knowledge through oral tradition and ceremony. Their hands wove baskets, their voices sang songs of healing, and their wisdom guided the community through changes and challenges. Men took on hunting, fishing, and defense, but leadership was not dictated solely by gender. Chiefs and spiritual leaders were chosen for their qualities, wisdom, bravery, and the ability to serve the community. not simply by birthright or strength. Leadership was a responsibility to protect the people and the land. Marriage customs reflected the importance of harmony and respect. The Nez Perce practiced exogamy, meaning individuals married outside their clans, strengthening ties between different families and preventing conflict. Marriages were celebrated with ceremonies that honored both the families and the spirit world, weaving the bonds of kinship with prayers and song. Discipline and social order were maintained through respect and communal responsibility, rather than harsh punishment. When conflicts arose, they were often resolved through discussion, negotiation, or rituals aimed at restoring harmony. The Nez Perce valued balance between individuals, families, and the natural world. Food preparation was a communal act, often shared in large gatherings. Salmon was central to the diet, smoked and stored for winter months. Roots, berries, and game complemented the diet. Each food celebrated for its place in the ecosystem. Meals were a time for stories, laughter, and connection. The table a sacred space of sharing. Throughout the seasons, ceremonies marked the cycles of life. These rituals honored the changing world and the people's place within it. The sun, dance, vision quests, and healing ceremonies were not just spiritual acts. They were vital threads that held the community's fabric intact, renewing their relationship with the land and the spirit world. Trade networks connected the Nez Perce with neighboring tribes, sharing goods, stories, and alliances. These exchanges were crucial for survival and cultural exchange, helping the tribe adapt to changing times while maintaining their distinct identity. Life in these river communities was a constant dance with nature, a balance of giving and receiving. The Nez Perce understood that the rivers and forests sustained them, and in return, they lived with care and respect, ensuring the land's gifts would endure for future generations. This intimate relationship with the land shaped not just survival, but identity. The rivers were highways and lifelines. The mountains were sacred sentinels. Every place held a story. Every moment was a lesson. As daylight fades on these riverbanks, the community gathers around fires, sharing stories of ancestors, hunting successes, and dreams. The day's work gives way to song and reflection, to quiet moments that connect the past with the present. From the river's edge, the Nez Perce gaze to the sky, to the winds that carry their prayers, to the spirits that guide their path. These rhythms and relationships prepare them for deeper journeys, into the heart of their spirituality, where dreams and rituals bind them to the unseen. Then Nez Perce see the world, not just through eyes, but through spirit. Their lives are guided by forces beyond the visible, winds that carry messages, animals that speak in silence, and dreams that shape reality. Mysticism is woven into their daily existence, a quiet but powerful thread connecting them to the unseen world. At the heart of their spiritual life are vision quests, sacred journeys undertaken alone, deep in the wilderness. These quests are rites of passage for young people, a moment to seek guidance, strength, and purpose from the spirit world. For days, the seeker fasts and prays, opening their heart and mind to visions that might come as animals, voices, or symbols. These revelations are never random. They guide life choices, leadership, and healing. The natural world is alive with spirit. Mountains are more than landforms, they are ancestors watching over the people. Rivers carry the voices of those who walked before. Trees and animals are teachers, each holding knowledge that the Nez Perce must listen to and respect. To kill an animal for food is a sacred act, requiring ceremony and gratitude, acknowledging the sacrifice and the cycle of life. Shamans, or spiritual leaders, play a vital role in this world. They are healers and mediators between the physical and spiritual realms. When illness strikes or balance is lost, shamans conduct ceremonies to restore harmony. They use songs, rattles, and sacred herbs, guiding prayers that ripple across both worlds. Their power comes not just from knowledge, but from humility and deep connection. Ceremonies like the Sun Dance and the Sweat Lodge are communal acts of purification, renewal, and connection. The Sweat Lodge, a small dome heated with hot stones, is a place to cleanse body and spirit through steam, prayer, and song. It is a sacred space where individuals seek clarity and healing, emerging reborn. The Sun Dance, held during summer, is a powerful gathering of prayer, sacrifice, and dance, reaffirming the community's bond with the Creator and the earth. Songs and prayers flow like rivers during these rituals. The drumbeat mimics the heartbeat of the world, steady and strong, grounding those who listen. Voices rise in chants that call upon ancestors, animals, and spirits to witness, guide, and protect. Every note, every gesture is intentional, a language. Older than words, dreams hold special significance. They are not dismissed as mere images, but honored as messages. A good dream can bring hope and direction. A troubling one may signal warning or the need for healing. Elders teach that paying attention to dreams keeps one in balance with the spiritual world. Young and old alike learn to interpret symbols, voices, and feelings that visit them in sleep. The sacred pipe is another powerful symbol of connection. When shared in ceremony, it unites the people with each other and the Creator. The smoke rises as a prayer carried on the wind, a visible link between worlds. Passing the pipe is a ritual of respect, peace, and community. This spirituality is not separate from life. It is woven into the everyday, from the preparation of food to the changing of seasons. The Nez Perce live with a consciousness of spirit. They understand that what they do echoes beyond the present moment, affecting future generations and the world around them. This deep relationship with the unseen informs the Nez Perce's enduring strength. It offers comfort in hardship and guidance in uncertainty. It shapes leadership, healing, and the way people relate to one another and to the earth. As the sun sets behind the mountains, casting long shadows on the land, the Nez Perce gather for ceremony. The fire flickers, the drum beats, and the wind carries prayers into the night sky, a timeless connection between the sacred and the everyday. From these sacred paths, the Nez Perce have drawn power that shapes their history, especially when the horse arrived, transforming their way of life forever. The wind that once carried the first breath of the Nez Perce now raced alongside a new spirit, the horse, Long before European settlers arrived, the Nez Perce encountered an animal that would transform their lives, the Appaloosa, a horse like no other, marked with speckles and a strength that seemed to echo the rugged mountains themselves. Imagine the shock and awe as the Nez Perce first saw these horses sleek, fast, and powerful, moving with the grace of the wind they revered. It was as if a new kind of spirit had entered their world, one that carried freedom and speed, forever changing how they lived, traveled, hunted, and fought. The Appaloosa became more than just an animal. It became a companion, a partner, and a symbol of status and pride. The horses were celebrated in stories, art, and song, often described as gifts from the Creator. Their spotted coats shimmered in sunlight, and their endurance was legendary perfect for navigating the rough, mountainous terrain that was home to the Nez Perce. This new bond transformed Nez Perce culture. With the Appaloosa, hunting became more efficient, enabling warriors to pursue game across vast distances with speed and agility. It revolutionized warfare, allowing the Nez Perce to move quickly and evade enemies, a skill that would later become crucial during conflicts with the US government. Horses became a currency of prestige. Owning many horses signified wealth and leadership. Young men trained to be expert riders, learning to communicate silently with their mounts, and to maneuver through the landscape with precision. These riders earned respect not only for their skill but for the deep trust they shared with their horses. The relationship between rider and horse was sacred. Horses were treated with care, given names, and honored in ceremonies. They were not just beasts of burden, but spiritual beings, whose well-being was tied to the health of the tribe. When a horse died, it was mourned as a loss felt by the whole community. The Appaloosa also influenced Nez Perce artistry. Their spotted patterns inspired designs in beadwork, quillwork, and weaving. Horses appeared in petroglyphs and oral traditions, symbolizing strength, endurance, and freedom. They were woven into the very identity of the Nez Perce. The arrival of the horse helped the Nez Perce expand their territories, strengthen trade networks, and build alliances. Mounted warriors became a formidable force respected by neighboring tribes, and later by settlers and soldiers. The Nez Perce were known as the Horse Lords, masters of their domain, moving like the wind across the plains and mountains. Yet, this new era was not without challenges. The growing value of horses also attracted outsiders, leading to conflicts over land and resources. The horse's importance intensified the stakes in the battles that would come, where freedom itself would be on the line. But for a time, the horse symbolized hope and power, a living connection between the Nez Perce people and the spirit of the land. It was a force that carried them forward across valleys and rivers, toward a destiny marked by both triumph and heartbreak. This legacy of the Appaloosa is still alive today. The Nez Perce continue to breed and celebrate these iconic horses, honoring the deep bond forged centuries ago. The spirit of the horse runs in their veins, a reminder of freedom, resilience, and the sacred connection between people and nature. From the strength of the horse, the Nez Perce forged their path into one of the most dramatic chapters of their history. The Nez Perce War of 1877, where skill, courage, and survival would be tested like never before. In the summer of 1877, the Nez Perce faced a storm unlike any they had known, a relentless force of government and soldiers determined to uproot them from their ancestral lands. What followed was a story of bravery, endurance, and tragedy. A flight that stretched over 1,100 miles through rugged mountains and vast plains, a desperate bid for freedom that earned the Nez Perce a place among history's greatest warriors. The origins of the war lie in broken promises. The Nez Perce had signed treaties with the U.S. government that guaranteed them their homelands. But as settlers moved west, hungry for land and resources, pressure mounted to force the Nez Perce onto a reservation far smaller than the lands they had lived on for generations. Many Nez Perce refused to leave, standing firm in their belief that the land was sacred and theirs by birthright. Tensions reached a breaking point when a small group of young warriors, angered by harassment and injustice, attacked settlers. The U.S. government responded with overwhelming military force. The Nez Perce, under leaders like Chief Joseph, Looking Glass, and White Bird, were forced into a fight for survival. What followed was not just a war, but a masterclass in strategy and resilience. The Nez Perce were outnumbered and outgunned, yet they used the land as their life-familiar forests. Steep mountains and rushing rivers became shields and pathways. Their knowledge of the terrain allowed them to evade and outmaneuver the U.S. cavalry time and again. Chief Joseph, known for his eloquence and compassion, emerged as a symbol of the tribe's will to survive. His leadership was marked by a commitment to protect his people, including women, children, and elders, during this harrowing journey. Joseph's words still echo today. "I will fight no more forever," spoken as the war drew to a tragic close. The Nez Perce's flight was epic in scale. Starting from their homeland in Idaho, they traveled through Montana and into the plains of northeastern Wyoming, facing harsh weather, scarce food, and relentless pursuit. Along the way, warriors fought bravely in battles at White Bird Canyon, Big Hole, and Canyon Creek, using guerrilla tactics and intimate knowledge of the land to resist capture. Their horses, the feigned Palooses, were vital carrying warriors, swiftly and enduring grueling distances. Yet even these great horses could not carry the weight of the people's hopes and suffering. Families traveled with what they could carry: children, elders, the sick, moving steadily forward. Every step a fight against despair, despite the odds. The Nez Perce inspired admiration from friend and foe alike. Soldiers respected their skill and courage. Newspapers across the country told stories of their determination and the dignity with which they faced impossible odds. The Nez Perce were warriors not just of muscle and weapon, but of heart and spirit. But war exacted a terrible toll. Many died of wounds, hunger, and exposure. The journey stretched months longer than anyone imagined possible. And as the Nez Perce neared the Canadian border of promised sanctuary, they were finally cornered at Bear Paw Mountains in Montana. The final battle was fierce, but the Nez Perce, exhausted and outnumbered, could not escape. Chief Joseph surrendered on October 5, 1877, his speech a haunting testament to loss, resilience, and the longing for peace. From where the sun now stands, I will fight no more forever. Though the war ended, the pain did not. The Nez Perce were forced to live far from their homeland in exile. Families were separated, cultures pressured to assimilate, and the land they loved slipped further from their reach. Yet their spirit endured. The Nez Perce War stands as a powerful chapter of resistance, a story of a people who moved like the wind, swift and determined, through a world that sought to break them. It reveals the complexity of conflict, where bravery meets tragedy, and survival means more than victory on a battlefield. Today, the legacy of that flight lives on in the hearts of the Nez Perce Nation. Their history is taught in schools, honored in ceremonies, and remembered in stories told around fires. The war was not just a defeat. It was a powerful assertion of identity and a testament to an unbroken spirit. Betrayal is a heavy word, but it hangs over the history of the Nez Perce like a shadow that refuses to lift. For generations, the Nez Perce lived on vast lands rich with rivers, forests, and wildlife, lands their ancestors had cared for since time immemorial. But as settlers pushed westward and the U.S. government grew hungry for expansion, those sacred lands became targets of greed and political maneuvering. The treaties signed in the mid-1800s promised protection, respect, and the right to live undisturbed on their ancestral territories. In 1855, the Nez Perce ceded some lands, but retained a large reservation centered in their heartland. This treaty held hope for coexistence, a fragile balance between native life and encroaching settlers. But that balance was shattered. By the 1860s and 70s, gold discoveries and increasing migration put pressure on the government to shrink the Nez Perce reservation drastically. The new 1863 treaty, known as the Steel Treaty by many Nez Perce, forced the tribe to cede most of their lands, confining them to a fraction of their original home. Many Nez Perce leaders refused to accept this treaty, especially those from the non-treaty bands who had never agreed to the land loss. They continued to live on their ancestral lands, rejecting the government's claims and the laws that tried to push them aside. This division within the tribe created tension, but also showed their unwavering commitment to their heritage. The government's response was swift and harsh. Officials demanded the removal of all Nez Perce to the smaller reservation. When many refused, tensions exploded. Settlers demanded protection. Soldiers were sent to enforce removal. The stage was set for conflict. Broken promises were everywhere. In the treaties, the enforcement, and the disregard for the Nez Perce's rights. The U.S. government repeatedly ignored Nez Perce sovereignty, undermined their leaders, and violated agreements without consequence. Land was taken, resources exploited, and culture threatened. Families were forced to abandon homes, sacred sites, and burial grounds. Ceremonies once performed along familiar rivers were disrupted. The Nez Perce faced the trauma of losing not just land, but the very fabric of their identity. Yet even in the face of betrayal, the Nez Perce demonstrated remarkable resilience. They continued to practice their traditions in secret, to speak their language, and to teach their children the stories and values of their people. Resistance took many forms, from diplomatic petitions to acts of civil disobedience, from maintaining cultural pride to, ultimately, taking up arms when all else failed. This chapter in their history is a painful reminder of how broken promises scar nations and communities. But it is also a story of endurance and dignity. The Nez Perce refused to be erased, standing as a living testament to the strength of their spirit. The wounds of this era still influence the Nez Perce nation today, fueling efforts to reclaim lands, revitalize culture, and assert sovereignty. Their story is a call to remember, to honor truth, and to recognize the ongoing impact of historical injustice. In the heart of every Nez Perce village, the pulse of life beats strongest through its women, far beyond the roles often assigned by outsiders. Nez Perce women have been the stewards of culture, the nurturers of family, and the quiet leaders who have sustained their people through times of peace and hardship alike. Their strength is both visible and subtle, woven into the fabric of daily life. And the spirit of the tribe. To truly understand Nez Perce society, one must begin with the family, the cornerstone of community. Families were interconnected through intricate kinship systems, guided by respect and balance. Women were central to this web. As mothers, daughters, and grandmothers, they carried the wisdom of generations, teaching children the Nez Perce language, songs, and values. This transmission was not just education, but an act of cultural preservation, crucial during periods when external forces sought to erase their identity. The role of women extended far beyond caregiving. They were gardeners and gatherers, responsible for growing and collecting the plants that fed and healed the community. Their knowledge of the land was profound, knowing which roots to dig, which berries to harvest, and which herbs could cure illness or soothe pain. This expertise was sacred, passed down through oral tradition and lived experience. Marriage customs reflected the importance of balance and harmony. The Nez Perce practiced exogamy, encouraging marriage outside of one's clan, fostering alliances, and strengthening social bonds. Women's clans were powerful social units, and their influence was undeniable. Mothers and maternal relatives guided not only family life, but often advised leaders, making their voices essential in community decisions. Respect for women was ingrained in social norms and rituals. They were not seen as secondary to men, but as partners in the stewardship of their people. Elders often described women as the life-givers and keepers of the fire, metaphors that acknowledged both their biological and cultural importance. When a woman spoke, her words carried weight. Her actions shaped the tribe's future. Ceremonies often honored women's roles, marking significant life stages: coming of age, childbirth, and menopause, with rituals that celebrated transformation and continuity. These ceremonies were communal, involving prayers, songs, and dances that connected the individual to the broader spirit world and the ancestral line. Women's strength was especially evident during times of crisis, when the Nez Perce were forced into war or removal. Women became the backbone of survival. They managed the home front, cared for the wounded, preserved food, and maintained cultural practices that kept the community's heart beating even in the darkest times, many stories speak of women's courage, resilience, and leadership during the Nez Perce War and its aftermath. In addition to family and survival, women were often healers and spiritual guides. They carried the knowledge of medicines, chants, and rituals that connected the people to healing powers beyond the physical. These roles required not only skill, but a deep connection to the spirit, world, and women fulfilled them with grace and humility. Art and craft also flowed from women's hands. Basket weaving, beadwork, and sewing were more than crafts. They were storytelling, history, and identity made tangible. Patterns and symbols embroidered into baskets and clothing reflected clan stories, spiritual beliefs, and the natural world. These creations were treasured possessions, passed down and gifted as expressions of respect and love. In the modern era, Nez Perce women continue this legacy of leadership and cultural stewardship. Many serve as educators, artists, tribal officials, and activists, bridging tradition and contemporary life. They work tirelessly to revitalize language and cultural practices, to advocate for social justice, and to ensure that future generations inherit a strong, vibrant identity. Young women today carry both the wisdom of their ancestors and the challenges of a changing world. They navigate education and careers while honoring their heritage. Through participation in ceremonies, storytelling, and community service, their voices add new layers to the ongoing story of the Nez Perce, story that refuses to be silenced. This chapter of family and gender reveals a culture where women's strength is sacred and foundational. It shows how leadership takes many forms, not only in councils and battles, but in the daily acts of teaching, healing, and nurturing that sustain a people. As the Nez Perce honor their women, they recognize that the future depends on these roots, the hands that shape children, the voices that carry stories, and the hearts that hold the fire steady. Art, language, and memory form the sacred trio that anchors the Nez Perce people in time and space. For a culture whose history is etched deeply into the landscape and carried forward through generations, these elements are far more than decoration or communication. They are living vessels of identity, resilience, and hope. Walk along the rivers or through ancient valleys, and you might find petroglyphs carved into rock symbols that tell stories older than written history. These carvings depict animals, humans, spiritual figures, and abstract forms, each rich with meaning. For the Nez Perce, these images are messages from the past, encoded with teachings and warnings. They are reminders that the land itself remembers the people who have walked upon it, and that the people are forever connected to the earth beneath their feet. But stone is only one canvas. The Nez Perce are master artisans, weaving stories through beadwork, quillwork, basketry, and clothing. Each pattern, color, and design holds significance. Beadwork, for instance, is not merely decorative. It is storytelling in miniature images, and motifs express clan identity, historical events, spiritual beliefs, and personal achievements. The tiny beads, painstakingly sewn, carry the weight of culture and the care of those who made them. Basket weaving is another profound tradition, blending utility with artistry, crafted from local grasses and roots. These baskets served everyday purposes, but were also sacred objects, used in ceremonies or given as treasured gifts. The designs interlaced within baskets carry symbolism related to the natural world water. Patterns, animal shapes, or celestial forms, each weaving a narrative that links the maker to ancestors and the environment. Oral tradition is the heartbeat that connects all these art forms. For the Nez Perce, stories are not static tales, but living conversations between past and present. Elders gather children by the fire to share legends of creation, heroism, and morality. These stories carry lessons about respect, courage, community, and the consequences of actions. Each retelling breathes life into memory, shaping identity and guiding behavior. Language is the vessel through which these stories flow. The Nez Perce language, known as Nimiaputimt, is a complex and beautiful expression of thought and culture. It encodes concepts that cannot be translated easily into English words, that describe relationships, natural phenomena, and spiritual ideas unique to their worldview. The language is itself a living symbol, holding centuries of knowledge and perspective. However, language faced near extinction due to historical trauma, boarding schools, forced assimilation, and government policies attempted to erase native tongues. Yet the Nez Perce language survived in whispers, in homes, and in the hearts of elders who refused to let it fade away. Today, revitalization efforts are vibrant and urgent. Language classes, immersion programs, and digital resources aim to pass Nimiaputimt to younger generations, reclaiming a vital piece of identity. The revival of language is more than a cultural project. It is an act of resistance and healing. When a child learns to speak Nimiaputimt, they carry with them the worldview, history, and values of their ancestors. Every conversation in their native tongue is a thread reconnecting the broken chain of memory. Music and song also play vital roles in preserving memory. Traditional songs, passed down through families and communities, tell stories of the land, the seasons, and spiritual journeys. Drums and flutes accompany these melodies, grounding them in the earth's heartbeat. Songs are performed during ceremonies and celebrations, weaving past and present in a vibrant tapestry of sound. Written records, while more recent, also contribute to cultural memory. The Nez Perce have embraced multiple forms of documentation, from written histories and poetry to film and photography. These tools help preserve and share stories with wider audiences, ensuring that Nez Perce voices are heard on their own terms. Symbols, whether carved in stone, sewn into fabric, or spoken aloud, are bridges across time. They connect the Nez Perce to ancestors who walked the same paths, who told the same stories by the fire. They remind the people that memory is not just the past, with a living force shaping identity and guiding the future. These cultural expressions are acts of survival. Through art, language, and memory, the Nez Perce resist erasure. They assert their presence, their history, and their rights. They claim space in a world that has too often tried to silence them. As these symbols and stories continue to unfold, they inspire the community to look forward with hope and determination. They remind the Nez Perce that they carry the wisdom of countless generations of fire passed down that will not be extinguished. The Nez Perce have long believed that the most powerful battles are not fought with arrows or guns, but within the unseen world of spirit and dreams. For their people, the soul's journey through visions, dreams, and healing ceremonies holds the keys to strength, wisdom, and survival. These spiritual warriors, guided by sacred rituals, connect the community with the forces that shape life and destiny. From childhood, Nez Perce individuals learn that dreams are more than passing images, they are messages from the spirit world, warnings, guidance, or blessings. A dream may come as a symbol, a soaring eagle, a rushing river, or a flickering flame, each carrying deep meaning. Elders teach young people to listen carefully, to honor these visions, and to seek their truth. Dreams are bridges between the seen and unseen, a sacred dialogue that shapes identity and purpose. The vision quest stands at the center of this spiritual practice. It is a rite of passage, a solitary journey into the wilderness, where the seeker fasts and prays, seeking a vision that will guide their path in life. Alone beneath the vast sky, they face silence, hunger, and the elements' physical tests that open the spirit to encounter the sacred. During the vision quest, many report encounters with animals or spirits that become lifelong protectors and teachers. A bear may appear, symbolizing strength, a wolf, wisdom, or a hawk, clear sight. These spirit guides are not just symbols, they are companions, guardians who shape decisions and lead the individual through challenges. When a vision is received, it is shared with the community. The meaning is interpreted by spiritual leaders or elders, and the insight gained influences the person's role within the tribe. Some become healers, warriors, or teachers. Their vision quest a spiritual calling to serve their people. Healing is another sacred art deeply tied to spirit. The Nez Perce understand that health is a balance between body, mind, and spirit. When illness or disharmony arises, it is often a sign that this balance has been disturbed. Healing ceremonies are performed to restore it, blending practical knowledge of herbs and medicines with prayer and ritual. Healers, often women or men chosen by vision or lineage, hold the power to navigate between worlds. They use sacred plants like sweet grass, sage, and cedar to cleanse, purify, and protect. Their songs and chants carry energy that mends wounds not only of flesh but of spirit. These ceremonies may last for hours or days, weaving community support around those who suffer. The Sweat Lodge is one such ceremony, a small, dome-shaped structure heated with hot stones, creating steam that purifies the body and mind. Participants enter this space to pray, reflect, and connect with the Creator. The intense heat and darkness strip away distractions, allowing visions and spiritual insight to surface. The power of these rituals is both ancient and alive. They are moments when time seems to fold and the veil between worlds thins. Elders often speak of a collective memory that all Nez Perce share a spiritual thread running through their lives that connects them to ancestors and the earth itself. These practices are not isolated to the past. They continue to guide the community today, In a world filled with noise and distraction, the Nez Perce seek stillness to listen to dreams, to the wind, and to the quiet voice of spirit. Young people participate in vision quests and healing ceremonies, learning the sacred songs and the sacred ways, ensuring that these traditions endure. The role of the spirit warrior is not always visible. It is found in quiet acts prayer before a hunt, a song sung over the sick, a story told to inspire courage. It is a deep commitment to carrying the fire of their ancestors and the hope of future generations. This spiritual strength helped the Nez Perce endure the darkest trials, war, removal, and cultural suppression. Their connection to spirit was a lifeline when the world threatened to break them, a force that nurtured resilience and healing. From these sacred journeys and ceremonies, the Nez Perce draw not only healing, but renewal and rebirth of identity and purpose that guides them. Forward, the spirit warriors among them are the keepers of hope, bridging ancient wisdom with the needs of a changing world. As the drumbeats rise and prayers fill the air during ceremonies, the community is reminded that life is a sacred circle, always turning, always connected. The spirit world is never distant, but woven into the very fabric of daily existence. The strength of these spiritual warriors prepares the tribe for the challenges and triumphs that await, including the ongoing journey toward sovereignty, cultural revival, and healing. The story of the Nez Perce is far from over today. Their voices echo across a landscape forever changed by history, but alive with resilience, pride, and determination. The Nez Perce Nation stands as a vibrant community that embraces its deep heritage, while navigating the complexities of modern life, balancing sovereignty, culture, and economic growth. Sovereignty remains at the heart of the Nez Perce identity. Though the tribe's ancestral lands were drastically reduced through broken treaties and forced removal, the Nez Perce Nation has maintained a government dedicated to protecting their rights and self-determination. Based in Lopwai, Idaho, the tribal government oversees health care, education, social services, and law enforcement. Their leadership works tirelessly to ensure that the Nez Perce people control their own destiny, governing their resources, culture, and community with authority recognized by federal and state governments. Modern governance for the Nez Perce blends tradition with contemporary structures. Tribal councils operate under a constitution that affirms the tribe's inherent sovereignty. Elections bring forth leaders who carry the weight of history, but look toward the future. These leaders are tasked not only with political decisions, but with safeguarding cultural preservation, economic development, and social well-being. Their work is a continuation of the ancestral duty to protect the people and their lands. Culture remains a vibrant and unifying force in the Nez Perce Nation. Efforts to revitalize language, art, and ceremonies have grown exponentially in recent decades. The Nez Perce language program offers classes for all ages, aiming to reclaim Nimiaputimt, the tribe's native tongue, which once teetered on the brink of extinction. Immersion schools, digital tools, and community events encourage youth to reconnect with their linguistic heritage, a powerful anchor in identity and pride. Cultural celebrations like the annual Nez Perce National Powwow, are moments of joy, remembrance, and community gathering. These events blend traditional regalia, songs, dances, and storytelling with modern influences, creating a dynamic space where old and new converge. Families come together to honor ancestors, teach children, and celebrate survival. The powwow is both a festival and a statement of vibrant assertion that Nez Perce culture is alive and thriving. Economic growth is a key pillar of the tribe's future. The Nez Perce Nation operates businesses ranging from agriculture and forestry to manufacturing and retail enterprises. These ventures provide employment opportunities for tribal members and generate revenue that supports essential services like education and health care. The tribe has also embraced modern technology and innovation, investing in infrastructure and programs that support entrepreneurship and sustainable development. Despite progress, challenges remain. Like many native communities, the Nez Perce face ongoing struggles with health disparities, poverty, and the preservation of their cultural heritage in a rapidly changing world. Substance abuse, mental health issues, and limited access to resources require comprehensive approaches rooted in both modern science and traditional healing. Healthcare programs within the tribe blend Western medicine with traditional practices. Clinics offer treatment for chronic diseases while incorporating healing ceremonies and spiritual care. This holistic approach recognizes the deep connection between physical health and spiritual well-being, honoring ancestral wisdom passed down through generations. Education is a priority that shapes the community's trajectory. Tribal schools and partnerships with local institutions provide opportunities for higher learning, career development, and cultural study. Scholarship programs and mentorship initiatives empower youth to pursue diverse paths while remaining grounded in their heritage. The tribe understands that education is both a key to opportunity and a means of cultural preservation. Environmental stewardship continues to inspire the Nez Perce Nation. The tribe is deeply involved in protecting the lands and waters that have sustained them for centuries. Efforts to restore salmon runs on the Snake River and to preserve sacred sites reflect a commitment to honoring the natural world as a living, breathing relative. These environmental initiatives are often collaborations with government agencies and neighboring tribes, underscoring the importance of partnership and shared responsibility. Social programs address family support, elder care, and community wellness, reinforcing the bonds that hold the tribe together. Nez Perce traditions of hospitality, generosity, and mutual care persist, creating a safety net woven from cultural values and modern systems. The Nez Perce Nation today is a mosaic of tradition and innovation, from the sacred fires kept alive through ceremony to the boardrooms and classrooms of modern institutions. Their story is one of adaptation without losing sight of identity. They stand at a crossroads where history's weight meets the promise of tomorrow. Young Nez Perce leaders are stepping forward with visions that blend cultural reverence and progressive thinking. They are artists, educators, activists, and entrepreneurs' voices carrying the fire into new arenas. They harness technology to preserve language and culture, advocate for indigenous rights on national and international stages, and nurture community. Resilience. The future of the Nez Perce is not just about survival, it is about thriving. It is about asserting sovereignty in ways that honor ancestors while forging new paths. It is about educating and empowering youth to carry forward the legacy with strength and creativity. From the valleys and rivers, where the Nez Perce have lived since time immemorial, their story flows into a living, breathing present. It is a story of a people who have endured, who continue to dream, and who carry within them the sacred fire of their ancestors. As the Nez Perce move forward, their journey remains intertwined with the land, spirit, and community, the same forces that shaped their beginnings and sustained them through centuries of change. The Nez Perce people have always understood that they are not owners of the land, but its caretakers, guardians entrusted with a sacred responsibility that spans generations. For centuries, their survival, culture, and spirituality have been deeply intertwined with the rivers, forests, and mountains of their ancestral homeland. Today, this stewardship continues with renewed passion as the Nez Perce face modern environmental challenges with the wisdom of their ancestors and the tools of the present. To understand the Nez Perce relationship with the environment is to see a worldview where the land is alive, sentient, and sacred. Every river, hill, tree, and animal is part of a vast, interconnected web of life. The land provides sustenance, healing, and spiritual connection. And in return, the people honor it with respect and care. This reciprocity is a fundamental principle guiding every action, from hunting and fishing to ceremonial practices. Central to this stewardship is the Snake River and its tributaries, the lifeblood of the Nez Perce homeland. For thousands of years, these waters have nurtured the iconic salmon, whose migration is both a physical miracle and a spiritual cornerstone. The Nez Perce rely on salmon for food, cultural ceremony, and symbolic meaning. The fish represent renewal, resilience, and the enduring cycles of life. Protecting the salmon's passage has become a vital mission for the tribe. However, modern development has severely threatened these waters and the fish that depend on them. Dams, pollution, and overfishing have drastically reduced salmon populations, disrupting the balance of the ecosystem and endangering the Nez Perce way of life. The loss of salmon is more than an ecological crisis. It is a cultural wound. The Nez Perce Nation has taken a leadership role in salmon restoration. Their efforts include habitat restoration projects, dam removal advocacy, and sustainable fishing programs. Collaborating with government agencies, environmental groups, and other tribes, the Nez Perce work to repair rivers and revive the salmon runs. These initiatives are fueled by both scientific understanding and ancestral knowledge, blending modern ecology with traditional wisdom. Beyond the rivers, the tribe manages vast forests and wildlands. Sustainable forestry practices are implemented to ensure that timber harvesting does not degrade the land. The Nez Perce promote biodiversity, protecting native plant species and wildlife habitats. They understand that healthy forests are essential, not only for economic reasons, but also for spiritual balance. Cultural preservation and environmental stewardship go hand in hand. Sacred sites, burial grounds, Ceremonial areas and landmarks are protected with great care. These places hold the memories of ancestors and are vital to ongoing cultural practices. The tribe engages in land management that respects both the ecological and spiritual significance of these areas. Climate change poses a new and daunting challenge. Shifting weather patterns, increased wildfires, and altered ecosystems threaten the delicate balance the Nez Perce have maintained for millennia. In response, the tribe is involved in climate resilience planning and environmental education. They are training the next generation to be informed stewards, blending scientific methods with cultural values. Environmental advocacy is also a powerful form of sovereignty. The Nez Perce assert their rights to manage their resources and protect their homeland against harmful policies and developments. They participate in legal battles to defend water rights and oppose projects that would damage sacred lands. This activism is a continuation of their long struggle to preserve their way of life. Traditional ecological knowledge is a cornerstone of their approach. Elders and knowledge keepers share stories and observations about the land and its changes. Over time, these teachings guide restoration efforts and inform decision-making, reminding the community that humans are part of nature, not separate from it. The Nez Perce also foster community engagement through education and outreach. Schools teach children about their cultural and environmental heritage, encouraging stewardship from an early age. Tribal programs offer workshops on sustainable agriculture, wildlife conservation, and traditional plant use. These efforts build pride and responsibility across generations, as guardians of the land. The Nez Perce understand that their legacy depends on balance between economic development and conservation, tradition and innovation, human needs, and the health of the natural world. Their vision is not just for survival, but for flourishing, where culture and environment nourish each other. This enduring commitment to the land is a testament to a worldview that values connection, respect, and responsibility. It is a promise made long ago to ancestors and future generations alike. From this sacred duty flows the hope and energy of the youth, the fire carriers who will carry forward the legacy and adapt it to a changing world. The eagle has long been a powerful symbol. For the Nez Perce, a creature that soars high, sees far, and carries the spirit of freedom and resilience. Today, that eagle's flight is carried forward by the youth of the Nez Perce nation, whose dreams, creativity, and determination breathe new life into ancient traditions and shape the path toward a vibrant future. For Nez Perce youth, identity is a rich tapestry woven from the threads of history, culture, language, and contemporary life. They stand at the crossroads of tradition and modernity, balancing the legacy of their ancestors with the opportunities and challenges of the 21st century. This generation embodies renewal, a powerful force that honors the past while daring to imagine new possibilities. Language revival is central to this renewal. Many young Nez Perce are learning Nimiaputimt in immersion programs and cultural classes. For some, speaking the language is a new experience, connecting them to stories and ways of thinking once only heard from elders. The language is a living bridge, a way to reclaim history and identity. and to express the world as their ancestors did. Education fuels their growth. Tribal schools, scholarships, and mentorship programs encourage youth to excel academically and culturally. Many pursue higher education in fields ranging from environmental science to arts and political leadership. They understand that education is both a tool for personal empowerment and a means to advocate for their community. Art and storytelling thrive in the hands of young Nez Perce creators. They blend traditional styles with contemporary mediums: painting, music, dance, film, and digital art, creating works that speak to identity, history, and current issues. Through their creativity, they keep culture vibrant and visible, sharing their stories locally and globally. Youth activism is a powerful and growing force. Nez Perce young leaders are at the forefront of movements for indigenous rights, environmental justice, and cultural preservation. They organize events, participate in political dialogues, and use social media to amplify their voices. Their passion and knowledge inspire older generations and educate the wider world. The preservation of sacred ceremonies and cultural practices remains vital. Many young people participate in vision quests, sweat lodges, and powwows, learning from elders and spiritual leaders. These experiences root them in tradition and community, nurturing spiritual strength and continuity. Family and community remain central to their lives. Intergenerational connections between grandparents, parents, and children are treasured. Elders serve as mentors, passing down knowledge and wisdom. The community supports young people through rites of passage, celebrations, and daily life, reinforcing bonds and shared values. Challenges persist, of course. Nez Perce youth face the realities of social inequality, historical trauma, and pressures to assimilate. Substance abuse, mental health struggles, and economic hardship affect many communities. But these challenges are met with resilience, supported by tribal programs focused on wellness, education, and cultural empowerment. Technology plays a unique role in bridging past and future. Young Nez Perce use digital platforms to learn and teach language, share art, and organize activism. They create online spaces for cultural exchange and storytelling that transcend geography, connecting Nez Perce people wherever they live. Their vision for the future is expansive. Many aspire to leadership roles within the tribe and beyond, seeking to shape policies that protect sovereignty, culture, and the environment. Others focus on science, art, education, or business, blending tradition with innovation to serve their community. This generation understands that carrying the fire is both a privilege and a responsibility. They are the heirs of a legacy forged through centuries of struggle, survival, and strength. They know the weight of history, but also the promise of renewal. The eagle's flight continues high, steady, and unyielding. The Nez Perce youth soar on wings of hope, carrying forward the spirit of their people with courage and creativity. As they navigate their journey, they honor those who came before and inspire those who will follow. They are the storytellers, warriors, healers, and leaders of tomorrow, keepers of the fire that has burned since time immemorial. Their stories, songs, and dreams add new chapters to the Nez Perce legacy stories that would be told by the fireside, carved in stone and sung into the wind for generations to come. This is not an ending, but a beginning the flight of the eagle that never ceases, soaring forever across the skies of history, and hope. This completes our journey through the rich and enduring story of the Nez Perce Nation, an epic tale of connection, survival, and renewal that continues to inspire and teach us all. The Penobscot have lived along the winding Penobscot River for thousands of years, their identity inseparable from the river's flow, known as skilled navigators, fierce protectors of their lands, and keepers of profound spiritual traditions. Their story is one of survival through colonization, cultural resilience, and modern-day reclamation. Today, the Penobscot Nation thrives in Maine, steadfast in their fight to protect their sacred river and traditions, while embracing a renewed future. This is the story of a people bound to water, spirit, and unyielding hope. The Penobscot people have always been the river's children. Their name itself means the people of the bend in the river. A sacred place where the water curves like a whispered secret, holding stories older than memory. This river, winding through what is now Maine, is more than a body of water. It is the pulse of the land, the thread that connects past to present, spirit to flesh. From the first light of dawn, the Penobscot have listened closely to the river's voice, hearing in its flow the rhythm of their own lives, long before settlers arrived, before maps drew lines that would one day try to contain them. The Penobscot thrived in the forests and along the waterways. Their origin story begins in the misty dawn of time, woven from spirit and earth. It is said that their ancestors emerged from the earth itself, guided by the Great Spirit to the river's bend, a place chosen for its abundant life and sacred energy. The river's bend became their home, their protector, their guide through countless seasons. Every ripple told a story, every stone held a memory. The Penobscot believe that life is a cycle, a dance between the seen and unseen. Their origin. Legends speak of Manitou, the spirits who dwell in the wind, the water, the very trees that surround them. These spirits are not distant gods, but intimate companions, present in the crackling fire, the rustling leaves, and the call of the loon. Across the lake, to the Penobscot, the river is alive, breathing with spirit and wisdom. It teaches patience, persistence, and respect for all living things. Imagine the ancient forest where the first Penobscot walked, towering pines reaching to the sky, moss soft underfoot, and the river gleaming silver in the fading light. Here, the people learned to read the signs of nature, the migration of fish, the tracks of animals, the changing colors of the seasons. The river's bend was a natural gathering place, a crossroads where families came together to fish, to trade, to celebrate. In this sacred space, the foundation of their culture was laid, rooted in harmony with the land and an unbreakable bond. To water. As the seasons turned, so did the lives of the Penobscot. Spring brought the thaw and the first fish runs, signaling renewal and hope. Summer was a time of growth and gathering. when the forests were alive with berries and game. Autumn's fiery colors marked the harvest, the time to prepare for the long, cold winter. And winter, though harsh and quiet, was a time for storytelling when the elders passed down ancient wisdom through songs, legends, and memories. The river, even under ice, continued to sing its endless song. But the river's whispers were not always gentle. They spoke also of challenge and change. The Penobscot have endured storms of hardship that tested their spirit. When European settlers arrived, the ancient bend in the river became a battleground for survival. The Penobscot fought not just for land, but for the right to carry forward their stories, their language, their sacred connection to the water, despite broken treaties and displacement. Their spirit remained anchored deep in the river's flow. Today, the Penobscot nation stands at a crossroads again. The river still wins its way through their hearts, a constant reminder of where they come from and what they must protect. Though modern life brings new challenges, the river's voice is still heard in the songs of their children, the ceremonies that honor the past, and the fight to reclaim what was taken. The bend in the river is not just a place on a map, but a living symbol of resilience and identity. To understand the Penobscot is to listen carefully to the river's song, to hear the echoes of a people who have walked alongside water for thousands of years. It is a story of belonging to land, to community, to a way of life that refuses to be forgotten. As the river bends, so too does their story flow, carrying with it hope, memory, and an unyielding spirit. As dawn breaks over the water, the Penobscot gaze out to the future, guided by the ancient currents that brought their ancestors here. The river's voice calls them onward, toward renewal, toward healing, toward a deeper understanding of what it means to be truly connected to the land and to each other. And so, from the sacred bend in the river, their story begins, a journey into daily life, ritual, and survival that will reveal the heart of the Penobscot people. The river's song continues, inviting us to step closer, to witness how their bond with nature shapes everything they are. Life along the Penobscot River is a delicate balance, a dance with the current that has guided the people for centuries. Imagine waking at dawn to mist curling off the water, the air thick with pine and earth. The river's soft murmur is the first sound, a gentle reminder that the day belongs to the flow of nature. For the Penobscot, every sunrise begins with a conversation between land, water, and spirit. Their homes, built from birch bark and cedar, rise gently from the forest floor, lightweight and sturdy, designed to breathe with the changing seasons. The wigwams curve like the river itself, sheltering families and protecting memories. Inside, smoke curls upward from small fires where meals are cooked over open flames, and the scent of cedar wood mingles with drying herbs. This space is more than shelter. It is a sacred hearth, the heart of family and tradition. Daily life moves with the rhythms of nature. Fishing is not just a means to survive, but a sacred ritual, an act of respect and connection. Canoes, carved from mighty trees, glide silently across the water as skilled fishermen use nets and spears, reading the river like a book. Each catch is a blessing: trout, salmon, and sturgeon, gifts from the river that must never be taken for granted. The seasons dictate the harvest. When the fish run thick, the community gathers to prepare and share. Beyond the river, the forest is a pantry and a pharmacy. Men and women venture into the woods to gather wild berries, medicinal plants, and game, the knowledge of which leaves heal and which roots sustain has been passed down through generations. Like a whispered secret, children learn early to recognize the songs of birds and the tracks of animals. Their education entwined with every step they take in the wilderness. Community life is vibrant and woven tightly with ceremony. Days are marked by shared labor, weaving baskets, crafting tools, or preparing for seasonal celebrations. The Penobscot work together with quiet efficiency, their actions fluid like the river's current. Yet even in this rhythm, there is space for storytelling, laughter, and song. The elders' voices carry through the trees, recounting legends that breathe life into the past and teach lessons for the future. Women hold a special place as the keepers of tradition and life. They tend the gardens, raise the children, and shape the baskets that carry the fruits of their labor. Their hands, skilled and steady, craft birch bark into vessels both practical and beautiful, a language written in natural patterns. The care they show is mirrored in the respect the community holds for the earth and river that provide for all. Children grow under the watchful eyes of their family and the ever-present river. They learn not only to survive, but to belong, to see themselves as part of the great web of life. Play is their first lesson, often imitating the movements of fish or the calls of birds, learning the names of trees and the stories hidden beneath stones. In this way, the wisdom of the ancestors flows gently into each new generation. The seasons bring both challenge and celebration. Spring is a time of renewal. When the river swells with melting snow and life bursts forth, families prepare for planting and fishing, gathering around fires to sing songs that honor the earth's awakening. Summer days stretch long and warm, filled with the work of gathering and making. Autumn's fiery hues signal harvest and reflection, a time to give thanks before the cold sets in. Winter, harsh and still, is the season of storytelling. When the fire's glow reveals the faces of those who came before. The Penobscot's relationship with the river is not just physical, but spiritual. Water is life, yes, but it is also a pathway between worlds. It carries the prayers of the people upstream and returns with the blessings of the spirits. It teaches patience and respect, reminding the Penobscot that they are part of something far larger than themselves. To live with the current is to accept both the gifts and the trials of the river's flow. Yet life along the water has not been without hardship. Over centuries, the Penobscot have faced pressures from outside forces that sought to change or erase their way of life. Despite this, the river remains a place of refuge and resilience. Its bends and eddies hold secrets of survival, whispered, lessons carried on the breeze, waiting to be heard by those willing to listen. Today, the Penobscot continue to honor these ancient rhythms, blending tradition with the demands of a changing world. They fish the river and gather the forest, just as their ancestors did. But with eyes on the future they are determined to protect. the river still sings to them, its voice a constant guide. Through uncertainty and hope as the day fades and twilight settles over the water, the Penobscot gather once more, not just as individuals, but as a community bound by the river's timeless song. Around fires that crackle with stories and laughter, they remember who they are and where they come from. The current moves on, carrying their voices into the night. This close bond with the land and water shapes every aspect of their lives, from the smallest daily tasks to the most profound ceremonies. And it is this bond that will lead us deeper into the heart of the Penobscot world. In the world of the Penobscot, family is more than just blood, and names it is the living thread that binds generations together, weaving a tapestry of love, duty, and sacred trust. Their society is built on relationships that carry both deep respect and clear responsibility. Every member has a role to play, and every role is vital to the survival and harmony of the community. From the moment a child is born, they are embraced, not just by parents, but by an extended web of relatives, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, all bound by shared history and common purpose. The Penobscot live with an understanding that raising a child is a communal act where wisdom flows from elders and care is woven into every hand. This closeness creates a strong foundation where stories, values, and traditions are passed gently from one generation to the next. Marriage, within this world, is not merely a joining of two people, but a sacred union that honors the ties between families and the wider community. It is a bond blessed by ceremony and spirit, often marked by rituals that reflect the deep connection between human life and the natural world. Couples pledge not only their love, but their commitment to uphold the balance that sustains the tribe respect for each other, for their kin, and for the earth beneath their feet. Women hold a revered place in Penobscot society, often seen as the heart of the family and the keepers of tradition. Their roles extend far beyond the household, shaping the cultural and spiritual life of the tribe. They nurture children, guide ceremonies, and craft the birch bark baskets and clothing that carry centuries of meaning. Their strength is quiet but unshakable, the steady current beneath the surface of community life. Men, too, carry essential responsibilities. Traditionally, they are hunters, warriors, and protectors, deeply connected to the land and the river. Their knowledge of the forest and water is vital, not only for survival, but for passing on the skills that keep the tribe thriving. But beyond these roles, men are also storytellers and teachers, carrying the weight of history in their words and actions. Respect flows through every interaction, reflecting a belief that all life is connected. The Penobscot see themselves as caretakers of the land, of their relationships, and of each other. This respect extends to the elderly, whose wisdom guides decisions, and to children, who are nurtured as the future keepers of their culture. Marriage customs often reflect this deep spirituality. Some unions involve ceremonies by the river, where the water is called to witness the vows and bless the couple with its enduring flow. Gifts made from natural materials, feathers, shells, woven. Baskets symbolize the union's harmony with the earth. These rituals bind not just two people, but entire families and generations in a circle of support, and shared destiny. Yet within these bonds, there are also taboos and sacred rules and spoken understandings that protect the communities. Balance. Certain relationships are forbidden, not only for practical reasons, but because they would disturb the spiritual harmony of the tribe. These boundaries remind the Penobscot that their strength lies in respect and balance, not just between people, but with the unseen forces that watch over them. Family gatherings are lively, filled with storytelling, song, and laughter. Around the fire, elders recount tales of ancestors, battles, and the sacred spirits that guide the Penobscot path. Children listen wide-eyed, learning that they are part of a story far greater than themselves, one of endurance, wisdom, and the river's constant song. The passing of roles from one generation to the next is not forced but embraced. As children grow, they learn their place in this living network, how to fish, to hunt, to weave, and to honor the ceremonies that mark life's milestones. These lessons come not only from words, but from watching, listening, and participating, becoming part of the tribe's continuous cycle. At times, family life is shadowed by challenges. The pressure of outside forces, the scars of displacement, and the struggles to preserve identity weigh heavily. Yet even in hardship, the bonds of family and community hold strong. They become a source of resilience, a reason to keep the culture alive and the river's voice clear. Today, the Penobscot continue to cherish these sacred bonds. Their families remain close-knit, their traditions alive, and their roles honored even as the world around them changes. In homes by the river, the firelight still flickers on faces full of love, memory, and quiet determination. These relationships are the invisible currents beneath the Penobscot's strength, flowing steady, carrying the weight of the past and the hope for what lies ahead. As we follow their story deeper, the river's song leads us next into a world where dreams and spirits shape the path of the living. A journey into Penobscot mysticism and ritual that reveals the soul behind the people. The Penobscot world is alive with echoes of the unseen, a realm where spirits breathe through the wind, ripple beneath the river's surface, and dance in the flickering shadows of firelight. Mysticism is not an abstract concept, but the very heartbeat of their existence, a sacred thread weaving together past, present, and future. Here, the visible and invisible blend, and every moment holds a quiet invitation to listen. To the Penobscot, the Manitou, spirits of all things living and non-living, are not distant or separate. They are companions and guardians, present in every breath of wind and every rustle in the trees. These spirits guide, warn, and protect, offering wisdom through dreams, visions, and signs. They are as real as the river's flow, as essential as the earth beneath their feet. One of the most profound ways the Penobscot connect with the spirit world is through dreams. Unlike fleeting images, dreams are considered messages, visions sent by the Manitou to guide decisions and reveal hidden truths. A dream might show the path to healing, warn of danger, or offer insight into a personal or communal challenge. Dreamers are respected and often sought for counsel. Their experience is woven into the tribe's collective wisdom, Ceremonies are the sacred heartbeat of Penobscot spirituality, where the community gathers to honor the unseen forces shaping their lives. The seasonal ceremonies mark transitions, the thawing of winter ice, the return of the fish, the harvest's bounty. These rituals are rich with song, dance, and symbolic acts that renew the bond between people and the natural world. One such ritual is the Vision Quest, a solitary journey into the wilderness to seek guidance from the spirits. The seeker fasts and prays, often spending days alone by a river atop a hill, opening their heart to receive a vision. This quest is a rite of passage, a moment where the veil between worlds thins, and the individual gains clarity, strength, and purpose. The Vision Quest reflects the Penobscot belief that the greatest wisdom often comes in silence, through communion with the natural and spiritual worlds. Healing is another sacred practice deeply rooted in this spiritual understanding. The medicine people, guided by the Manitou, use plants, chants, and ceremonies to restore balance and harmony. Illness is seen not merely as physical, but as a disruption of spiritual equilibrium. Healing thus becomes a holistic act, a weaving together of body, mind, and spirit. The medicine person's role is vital, respected, and mysterious, bridging the human and spirit realms. Fire holds a special place in Penobscot rituals, symbolizing transformation and connection. Around the fire's glow, prayers are offered, songs are sung, and stories are shared. The flickering flames are believed to carry messages to the spirits, a bridge between worlds. The smoke rises like a whispered prayer, blending with the scent of cedar and sweetgrass, plants sacred for their purifying qualities. The Penobscot also honor the spirits of the animals that share their world. The moose, eagle, loon, and bear each hold symbolic meanings and teachings. They are seen as guides, embodying qualities such as strength, wisdom, and courage. Totem animals appear in dreams and ceremonies, reminding the Penobscot of their connection to the wider web of life and the lessons the natural world offers. Mythology and storytelling are vessels for this spiritual knowledge. Tales of creation, of Manitou encounters, and of legendary figures carry lessons about respect, balance, and the consequences of breaking sacred laws. These stories are not mere entertainment, but living wisdom, passed down through generations to keep the community aligned with the spirit's will. There are also rituals surrounding life's milestones: birth, coming of age, marriage, and death, each infused with spiritual meaning. Birth is welcomed with prayers for the child's protection and guidance. Coming-of-age ceremonies mark the young person's readiness to engage fully with the tribe and the spirit world. Marriage binds two souls, but also connects families and ancestors in a sacred web. Death is a passage, a return to the spirit realm, where the departed continue to watch over those left behind. Yet these spiritual traditions have not been untouched by hardship. Colonization and forced assimilation sought to erase the Penobscot's beliefs, to silence the Manitou's voices. Many ceremonies were driven underground, dreams dismissed as superstition. But the spirit cannot be crushed. Today, the Penobscot are reclaiming their sacred rituals, breathing life back into ancient practices and opening spaces where the Manitou can once again speak freely. In modern times, this spiritual revival is a powerful act of resistance, a way to heal wounds inflicted by history and to restore balance within the community. It is a reminder that the Penobscot's relationship with the unseen world remains vital and alive, guiding their path forward. The echoes of the spirits continue to ripple through the river and forest, calling the people back to their deepest truths. As night falls and the firelight dances on the faces of those gathered, the Penobscot listen closely. The wind carries the voices of their ancestors, the rustle of leaves whispers ancient secrets, and the river hums its eternal song. This is a world where the spiritual and the natural are one, a world alive with mystery, reverence, and hope. From these echoes of the spirits, the Penobscot draw strength to face the challenges ahead. Their mysticism is a living bridge, connecting them to the river's bend where their story began, and guiding them toward the future they are determined to shape. The Penobscot warriors moved like shadows through the forests and along the winding riverbanks, silent, swift, and deeply connected to the land they defended. Their strength was born not just of muscle or weapon, but of intimate knowledge of the river's bends, the forest's hidden paths, and the rhythms of nature that no outsider could understand. To fight was not a desire, but a sacred duty, protection of their people, their homes, and the spirit that flowed through their land. Before European contact, the Penobscot lived in a world where rivalries and alliances between tribes shaped survival. Conflicts were often brief, but fierce wars fought for territory, honor, and resources. These battles were not driven by blind hatred, but by necessity and respect for balance. Warriors were trained from youth, learning not only how to wield weapons, but how to read the forest like a living book. The sound of a snapping twig, the flight of a bird, the scent of disturbed earth. Their weapons were crafted with care and skill, born from the materials the land provided. The bow and arrow were essential tools, crafted from strong wood and tipped with sharp stone or bone. Spears and clubs carried the weight of both tradition and survival, often decorated with feathers and carvings that carried spiritual significance. These weapons were not only instruments of war, but extensions of the warrior's spirit, a bond between human strength and natural power. One of the most feared and respected weapons was the war club, often made from heavy hardwood like hickory or ash. Its blunt force could shatter bone and break shields, a symbol of the warrior's raw power and determination. Yet, behind this force was a deep respect for the rules of engagement. Warriors fought with honor, aiming to protect their people without needless cruelty. The river itself was a crucial ally in warfare. Penobscot warriors used canoes to move quickly and silently, striking where enemies least expected and disappearing into the fog and reeds. The knowledge of currents, tides, and hidden coves gave them an unmatched advantage. The water was more than a battlefield. It was a protector, a guide, and a place where strategy met survival. When European settlers arrived, the nature of conflict shifted. The Penobscot found themselves defending not just against other tribes, but against a new, wave of colonizers with unfamiliar weapons and relentless ambition. Guns and metal weapons changed the stakes, but the Penobscot warriors adapted, using guerrilla tactics, intimate terrain knowledge, and sheer willpower to resist displacement and invasion. This era brought immense hardship and loss, but also stories of fierce bravery. The Penobscot's resistance was not just physical, but spiritual refusal to surrender their identity, their land, or their connection to the river. Each battle fought was a battle for survival, a message sent down the river's current. We remain. The warriors were more than fighters. They were guardians of culture and tradition. They protected not only bodies, but stories, ceremonies, and the sacred places where the Manitou whispered. Their courage inspired songs and legends tales passed around fires that still echo in the hearts of the Penobscot today. Training was rigorous, demanding endurance, skill, and a strong mind. Young boys learned to track animals, to move silently, to shoot with precision. But they were also taught the weight of responsibility, that true strength lies in protecting the weak and preserving the community. The warrior's path was one of balance between power and wisdom, action and reflection. Warriors often carried tokens of protection, small charms, feathers, or painted symbols believed to carry the blessings of the spirits. These items were treasured, connecting them to ancestors and spiritual guardians. Before battle, ceremonies called upon the Manitou for strength and guidance, reminding warriors that they fought not alone, but with the spirit's watchful eyes. The Penobscots' survival was also a story of adaptation. When firearms and steel weapons arrived, they quickly learned to use these new tools without losing sight of their traditions. The river continued to be their greatest asset. No enemy could navigate its twists and hidden paths as deftly as they could. This intimate connection to the land remained their strongest weapon. Yet the cost of these conflicts was heavy. Families were torn apart, villages burned, and sacred sites desecrated. The scars of war left deep wounds not just in the earth but in the spirit of the Penobscot people. Still, their resilience was unwavering. They rebuilt, remembered, and carried forward the legacy of their warriors. Today, the spirit of the Penobscot warrior lives on not in battlefields, but in the continued fight to protect their land, culture, and rights. Their courage fuels movements to reclaim river rights, preserve sacred sites, and pass down traditions to younger generations. The ancient weapons have given way to new forms of resistance, but the heart of the warrior remains fierce and unyielding. The river's warriors were more than fighters. They were symbols of a people's endurance, a testament to a bond between human spirit and the wild land that cradled them. Their stories remind us that survival is more than existing. It is an active, living resistance. As the sun sets behind the pine trees, the river's flow continues steady, unbroken, carrying the legacy of those who fought and lived by its banks. From these waters, we turn now to a darker chapter, the story of betrayal and loss that came with colonization, a wound that the Penobscot still strive to heal. The bend in the river, once a sanctuary, became a crossroads of betrayal. For the Penobscot, the arrival of European settlers marked the beginning of a slow and painful unraveling. A quiet storm that would change their world forever. What began as cautious trade and tentative friendships soon twisted into broken promises. Stolen lands and shattered lives at first. The Penobscot engaged with newcomers with cautious curiosity. They exchanged furs and knowledge for tools and goods, navigating a delicate balance between two very different worlds. But beneath the surface, the settlers' hunger for land and resources grew relentless. The river that had nourished the Penobscot for generations was now a prize to be claimed, fenced, and controlled. Treaties were drawn with ink and words that sounded fair but carried the weight of deception. The Penobscot were pressured into ceding vast tracts of their ancestral territory lands, where their ancestors were buried, where sacred ceremonies had been held, where the Manitou still whispered in the wind. These agreements were often misunderstood or manipulated, leaving the Penobscot dispossessed and vulnerable. The loss of land was not just a physical wound, but a spiritual one. The river's bends and the forest's depths were more than resources. They were lifelines, anchors to identity, and sources of power. With every acre lost, the Penobscot felt the slow erosion of their culture and their connection to the world around them. The river's song grew faint. Colonization brought violence, as well as legal deceit. Conflicts erupted as settlers pushed deeper into Penobscot territory. Villages were burned, families displaced, and traditional ways of life disrupted. The newcomers' diseases, unknown and deadly, swept through communities like an invisible scourge, leaving death and despair in their wake. The Penobscot faced not only an external enemy, but an enemy they could not see or fight. Forced assimilation became a cruel new reality. Children were taken from their families and placed in boarding schools, where they were forbidden to speak their language or practice their customs. The Penobscot's sacred rituals were outlawed, their spiritual leaders silenced or marginalized. The very soul of the tribe was under attack. Yet even in the darkest days, the Penobscot spirit refused to break. Stories of resistance, both quiet and bold, thread through this painful history. Some fought with weapons, others fought with words and legal claims. Chiefs and elders traveled to distant capitals, petitioning for justice and the return of their lands. The river's current carried their pleas, though often met with silence or dismissal. One of the greatest betrayals was the loss of control over the river itself. The Penobscot depended on its waters for food, transportation, and ceremony, but settlers dammed its flows, polluted its waters, and restricted access. The river that once sustained the tribe became a symbol of their dispossession. Yet, the Penobscot never stopped fighting to reclaim their rights, knowing that the river's health was tied to their survival. The emotional toll of colonization rippled through families and communities. Loss became a shared wound grief for lands vanished, for languages nearly lost, for ceremonies left incomplete. Yet from this pain grew a fierce determination. The Penobscot understood that survival required adaptation without surrender, memory without bitterness. In recent decades, legal battles have become another battlefield. The Penobscot nation has fought in courts to restore fishing rights, reclaim territory, and protect the river's health. These fights are not just about resources, but about justice and the right to exist on their own terms. Each victory echoes with the voices of ancestors and the hope of future generations. This story of betrayal is painful but necessary because to understand the Penobscot today, we must face the scars they carry and the strength they have forged. From them, their resilience is a testament to a people who, despite being pushed to the brink, hold tight to their identity and their sacred connection to the land and river. When the river runs deep with sorrow, it also carries songs of resistance melodies, born from the unbreakable spirit of the Penobscot people. After centuries of loss, betrayal, and struggle, they found a new battleground, the fight for recognition, rights, and justice. This battle was no less fierce than those fought with bow and spear. It was a fight for identity, survival, and a future where their voice could no longer be silenced. The 20th century marked a turning point. The Penobscot nation, long marginalized and pushed to the edges, began organizing with renewed determination. They embraced new tools, legal battles, political advocacy, and cultural revival to defend their homeland and reclaim their place in a world that had tried to erase them. The river that once shielded them became a symbol of their unyielding resolve. One of the most crucial struggles was the fight to restore fishing rights. On the Penobscot River, for generations, these rights had been ignored or denied, despite being guaranteed in treaties long forgotten or deliberately overlooked by state and federal governments. The river, the lifeblood of their culture and sustenance, was at the heart of this battle. Losing access meant losing a connection to their ancestors and the very essence of who they were. The Penobscot people took their fight to courtrooms and negotiating tables. Leaders and activists emerged, voices filled with passion and clarity, demanding respect and honoring of treaties signed centuries before. These battles were not just legal contests. They were deeply personal struggles to reclaim dignity, tradition, and a future for their children. One landmark victory came in the late 20th century when the Penobscot nation secured the right to fish in their traditional waters. This win was more than a legal triumph. It was a restoration of their sacred bond with the river, a renewal of an ancient contract between people and nature. It sparked a resurgence of pride and cultural revival, inspiring younger generations to reconnect with their heritage. But the fight did not stop there. The Penobscot also battled for land rights, pushing back against encroachment and environmental damage, protecting the forests. Wetlands and waterways became part of their broader resistance, a commitment to honor the earth as their ancestors taught. Their activism extended beyond politics into education, cultural preservation, and environmental stewardship. Music, storytelling, and ceremony became powerful tools in this resistance. Songs of resilience echoed through community gatherings, weaving history with hope. Elders shared memories of hardship and survival, while youth infused new energy into traditions. Together, they crafted a living tapestry of identity, strong, vibrant, and rooted in the river's enduring flow. The Penobscot's resistance was not just about reclaiming rights, but about reclaiming voice. For too long, their stories had been told by others, distorted, ignored, or erased. They began to write their own narratives, share their truths, and invite the world to listen. This cultural renaissance was a declaration. They were not victims, but survivors, warriors of spirit and culture. Yet, the path of resistance is never easy. The Penobscot faced opposition, legal challenges, and ongoing struggles to protect their land and waters. Environmental threats loomed. Pollution, damming, and development endangered the river's health and, by extension, the tribe's future. Each fight became a test of resilience, a reminder that the legacy of colonization still cast long shadows. But with each victory, the Penobscot grew stronger. Their activism inspired other indigenous nations and allies, forging networks of support and solidarity. The fight for recognition became part of a larger movement, one seeking justice, restoration, and respect for indigenous sovereignty across the continent. Today, the Penobscot Nation continues to stand tall, a beacon of resistance and renewal. Their leaders walk both the halls of government and the banks of the river with equal purpose. Cultural programs revive language and traditions. Environmental projects restore the land and water. And every gathering, every song, every ceremony carries the echo of those who refused to be forgotten. The river flows on, carrying their stories, struggles, and hopes. It whispers of battles won and battles yet to come. It is a living testament to a people who have refused to surrender, whose spirit remains as constant as the waters flow. In the quiet moments before dawn, when the world still holds its breath, the Penobscot listen closely to the whispers of the forest, the ripple of the river, and the silent presence of the animal spirits that walk unseen alongside them. These spirits are more than symbols. They are guides, protectors, and teachers woven into the very fabric of Penobscot life through dreams, legends, and totems. The Penobscot believe that every creature carries a spirit manitou that embodies qualities to be honored and learned from. These animal spirits are both real and sacred, existing in a space between the physical world and the unseen. They appear in dreams, visions, and ceremonies, offering wisdom that helps the people navigate the challenges of life, the mysteries of the spirit world, and the deep connection to the land. Among these powerful guides, the moose stands tall and proud, a symbol of strength, endurance, and solitude. The moose's silent steps through the forest teach patience and resilience. To see a moose in a dream is to receive a message of steady power, a call to move forward with quiet confidence even when the path is uncertain. The moose embodies the sacred balance between strength and gentleness, reminding the Penobscot to carry their burdens with grace. The eagle, soaring high above the treetops, watches with sharp eyes and fierce spirit. It represents vision, courage, and connection to the Great Spirit. The eagle's flight is a bridge between earth and sky, the seen and unseen. Its presence in dreams or ceremonies calls the Penobscot to rise above conflict, to seek clarity and truth, and to carry messages with honor. The eagle's cry echoes, the call to leadership and protection. The loon's haunting song carries across the water at twilight, a sound both mysterious and soothing. The loon is a symbol of transformation and communication between worlds. Its song is said to guide souls On their journey, and to keep the boundary between the living and spirits fluid yet respected, the loon reminds the Penobscot to listen deeply to the whispers of nature and to the quiet voice within. The bear, powerful and protective, embodies courage, healing, and introspection, known for its strength and fierce defense of family. The bear teaches the Penobscot the importance of standing firm and nurturing those in their care. In dreams, the bear can be a guardian, a healer, or a symbol of awakening. It calls the people to balance fierce strength with gentle nurturing, a lesson carried in every step it takes through the forest. These animal spirits are not distant myths, but active forces in Penobscot life. Their images appear in birch bark, art, carvings, and ceremonial regalia. Totem poles and masks celebrate these creatures, reminding the community of the qualities they must embody. Each spirit carries a story, a lesson passed down through generations, binding the people to their land and to each other. Dreams play a crucial role in connecting with these animal guides. The Penobscot understand dreams as bridges, portals where the physical world fades and the spirit world reveals itself. A dream of an animal might be a call to action, a warning, or a gift of strength. Dreamers who encounter these spirits are respected, their visions integrated into the community's wisdom. Stories and legends surrounding these totems teach respect, balance, and the consequences of ignoring the natural order. They warn against greed, selfishness, and disrespect for the land. Through these tales, the Penobscot pass on not just cultural identity, but the ethical compass guiding their relationship with the environment and each other. The bond between the Penobscot and their animal spirits reflects a worldview where everything is connected. People, animals, plants, and the land share a sacred kinship. To honor an animal spirit is to honor life itself, a practice that shapes daily decisions. From hunting and fishing to ceremonies and healing, even today, as the Penobscot navigate a modern world, these ancient relationships remain vital. Elders teach the youth to recognize the signs of their totems, to listen for the loon's call, to respect the moose's strength, and to carry the eagle's vision. These teachings are anchors, grounding the community in identity and resilience. The river flows on, carrying not just water, but the stories of these animal spirits, stories that have shaped the Penobscot's past and continue to guide their future. Their legends remind us that to live in harmony with the world, we must listen deeply, respect all beings, and walk gently on the earth. The Penobscot story is etched not just in memory, but in the delicate folds of birch bark, a living canvas that carries the whispers of their ancestors. Birch bark, strong yet flexible, has been their ancient paper, their art, and their voice for countless generations. It holds the stories of creation, survival, and identity, woven with the rhythms of the river and forest. Imagine the bright white bark peeled gently from towering birch trees, carefully shaped and dried by skilled hands. This bark becomes more than material. It is transformed into canoes that glide silently over the water, containers that hold food and fire, and intricate scrolls that tell tales of the Penobscot's past. Each piece is a work of art, decorated with patterns that speak of spirit animals, sacred places, and family histories. Language is the heart of these birch bark chronicles. The Penobscot speak an Algonquian language, rich with the sounds of the Lun flowing like the river itself, carrying meaning in every syllable. It is a language that holds ancient knowledge, shaping how the world is understood and lived. Every word connects speaker and listener to a shared heritage, a community bound by history and culture. Storytelling is the lifeblood of the Penobscot people. Around fires and in quiet gatherings, elders weave tales that transport listeners to times before memory, when the world was young and the Manitou spoke freely. These stories teach lessons of respect, courage, and balance, and they keep the community's spirit alive. Each story is a thread in the tapestry of identity, binding generations with the strength of shared experience. Birch bark scrolls were used to record these stories, treaties, and histories, serving as tangible links to the past, though few have survived the ravages of time and colonization. Those that remain are treasured relics, silent witnesses to a people's resilience. The bark's natural patterns and the painted symbols create a language all their own, blending art and meaning in ways that words alone cannot capture. The art of birch bark extends beyond storytelling into practical craft. Baskets woven with cedar and birch strips carry the harvest from forest and river. Each basket is unique, its patterns reflecting the maker's family, clan, or personal story. The baskets are both tools and symbols holding sustenance and tradition alike in times past. Penobscot artists also carved masks and figurines for ceremonies, connecting the physical world with the spirit realm. These objects carried meaning beyond their shape, embodying animal spirits or ancestral beings. They were worn, displayed, and honored in rituals that celebrated life's cycles and the unseen forces guiding them. Language and art have faced threats, like the Penobscot people themselves. Colonial efforts sought to erase their tongue and traditions, replacing them with foreign words and customs. Boarding schools forbade speaking Algonquian, silencing young voices eager to sing their mother tongue. Many traditional crafts were dismissed or outlawed, threatening to sever the living connection to heritage. But the Penobscot have fought to keep their language and arts alive. Community programs teach Algonquian to new generations, rekindling the music of their speech. Artists revive birch bark weaving, carving, and painting, blending old techniques with contemporary expression. Through this revival, the Penobscot reclaim their voice both literally and figuratively. Storytelling remains a vital thread, now shared through books, recordings, and gatherings that welcome both tribe members and the wider world. These stories continue to teach, heal, and inspire, reminding all who listen that the Penobscot are not relics of the past, but living, breathing custodians of a rich and vibrant culture. The birch bark chronicles are a testament to endurance, the fragile bark that survives storms and seasons, just as the Penobscot endure history's trials. They remind us that identity is crafted not only in stone or blood, but in the delicate weaving of language, art, and memory. As the river carries birch bark canoes on its winding course, so too do the stories and songs of the Penobscot flow through. Time connecting the past with the present, the seen with the unseen. This enduring current of culture sustains the tribe as it faces new challenges and embraces new opportunities. For the Penobscot, the land is not just a place to live, it is a living, breathing relative, a sacred partner in the endless dance of life. Their relationship with nature is woven into every breath, every step, every choice. This deep respect for the environment is more than tradition. It is a guiding philosophy, a way of being that has shaped their survival and identity for thousands of years. From childhood, Penobscot people learn to see the world as a web of connections, where every creature, plant, and river holds meaning. They understand that to take from the earth without giving back breaks the balance, a balance that sustains not just humans, but all life. This understanding is the foundation of their environmental stewardship, a practice grounded in respect, responsibility, and reciprocity. The Penobscot's traditional ecological knowledge is vast and precise. They know the river's moods, the migration patterns of fish, the seasons for harvesting plants, and the subtle signs of forest health. This wisdom is passed down through stories, ceremonies, and hands-on teaching, creating a living library of natural insight. It is knowledge born from generations of observation, survival, and spiritual connection. Fishing practices reflect this balance. The Penobscot harvest only what is needed, carefully timing their catches to allow fish populations to thrive. They use sustainable methods, nets, spears, and traps designed to minimize harm. Each fishing season begins with prayers and ceremonies asking for permission and giving thanks. The river is honored as a sacred provider, not a resource to be exploited. Forests are tended with the same care. The Penobscot gather berries, herbs, and timber with an eye toward renewal. They understand the importance of selective harvesting and protecting young growth. Sacred groves and ancient trees are protected not just for their material value, but for their spiritual significance. The land is a teacher and a guardian, deserving of reverence and protection. This stewardship extends beyond the practical into active environmental advocacy. In recent decades, the Penobscot Nation has become a powerful voice in regional conservation efforts. They lead campaigns to restore river habitats, remove dams that block fish migration, and combat pollution from industrial development. These efforts are rooted in the same ancient principles that have guided their ancestors, honoring the land as a living entity. The fight to protect the Penobscot River is also a fight to preserve identity. The river's health directly impacts the tribe's culture, economy, and spirituality. Clean water means the continuation of fishing traditions, ceremonies, and daily life connected to the river's flow. Pollution and habitat loss threaten more than fish. They threaten the very soul of the Penobscot people. The tribe's environmental stewardship is a model of resilience and hope, showing how ancient wisdom can meet modern challenges by blending traditional knowledge with science and policy. The Penobscot are reclaiming their role as caretakers of the land. Their work is a reminder that sustainability is not just a concept, but a lived practice, one that honors the past and protects the future. Children grow up learning these lessons, taught by elders and community leaders who emphasize the sacred responsibility to care for the earth They are taught to listen to the river's song, the forest's whispers, and the lessons hidden in the wind. This connection is nurtured through ceremonies, education programs, and everyday life, ensuring that stewardship is not lost but renewed with each generation. The Penobscot's bond with nature also informs their healing practices. Plants gathered from the forest serve as medicines, used in ceremonies that restore balance to body and spirit. This holistic approach to health reflects the tribe's understanding that well-being is intertwined with the land's health, profound recognition that human life and nature are inseparable. This respect for nature shapes the Penobscot's vision for the future, where their culture thrives in harmony with the environment. It is a vision where rivers run clear, forests flourish, and traditions continue to breathe life into the land. The Penobscot's environmental stewardship is both a tribute to their ancestors and a promise to those yet to come. As the river winds through the forest, so does this commitment flow through the community, steady, powerful, and enduring. The Penobscot remind us that to protect the earth is to protect ourselves, and that balance is the key to survival. The story of the Penobscot is not just one of history, it is alive and unfolding today, carried in the voices of those who walk the river's edge, dream beneath the forest canopy, and breathe life into traditions both ancient and new. The Penobscot Nation stands at a vibrant crossroads, a community rooted in centuries of endurance and rich with hope for the future. In the heart of their reservation, modern Penobscot leaders carry the weight of history with fierce pride. They navigate the complex world of politics, law, and culture, fighting to protect their rights and reclaim their voice. These leaders are both warriors and visionaries, champions of the river, stewards of tradition and architects of renewal. Their work is a testament to resilience and a promise to future generations that the Penobscot will not be forgotten. Art and culture pulse at the center of this revival. Penobscot artists blend ancestral techniques with contemporary expression, creating birch bark baskets, carvings, and paintings that speak to identity and survival. Their work is a bridge connecting the past's sacred rhythms with the vibrant energy of today's creativity. In galleries, festivals, and community gatherings, these artworks tell stories that words alone cannot capture. Language, once threatened with silence, is now being spoken again. Community programs teach the Penobscot Algonquian language to children and adults alike, reviving the sounds that carry centuries of wisdom. Hearing the language spoken in schools, homes, and ceremonies is a powerful act of reclamation, rebuilding bonds severed by colonization and breathing life into the tribe's soul. Youth play a vital role in this legacy. They walk a path shaped by both heritage and modernity, balancing the weight of history with dreams for tomorrow. Many are learning traditional skills: fishing, basket weaving, storytelling, while also engaging with technology, education, and activism. Their voice is bringing fresh energy to cultural preservation and political advocacy, reminding all that the Penobscot story is ongoing. Education is a cornerstone of the community's vision. Schools incorporate Penobscot history, language, and culture into their curriculum, grounding young people in their identity and preparing them to carry the tribe forward. Elders and knowledge keepers are honored teachers, passing down stories and lessons that cannot be found in textbooks but live in memory and spirit. Ceremonies and celebrations remain vital threads, weaving the community together. Seasonal gatherings mark time with song, dance, and prayer, renewing bonds between people, land, and spirit. These moments are joyful and solemn, honoring ancestors while nurturing hope. They remind the Penobscot that their identity is not frozen in history, but alive in each heartbeat. And each step along the river, the Penobscot also face contemporary challenges, economic pressures, environmental threats, and the ongoing struggle for sovereignty and justice. Yet their response is one of determination, creativity, and unity. Community initiatives focus on sustainable development, healthcare, and cultural programs that serve both present needs and future aspiration. The fight for clean water and healthy rivers remains a central cause. Activists work tirelessly to restore habitats and protect the land from pollution and overdevelopment. This environmental activism is deeply tied to cultural survival, a recognition that the health of the Penobscot people is inseparable from the health of their homeland. Penobscot voices reach beyond their reservation, speaking on national and international stages about indigenous rights, environmental justice, and cultural preservation. Their stories inspire others and build bridges of understanding and solidarity. Through media, art, and education, they invite the world to witness their journey, a journey of resilience, revival, and hope. Family and community remain the heart of Penobscot life. Despite centuries of upheaval, these bonds have endured, shaping everyday life with love, respect, and shared responsibility. Homes by the river echo with laughter, song, and the quiet strength of generations standing together. As the Penobscot look ahead, they carry the wisdom of the past and the promise of renewal. Their legacy is not just a memory, but a living force flowing like the river, persistent and powerful, in every voice raised in song, in every story told, and in every hand that shapes birch bark or casts a fishing net. The Penobscot spirit shines. Brightly. The river's song continues, guiding them toward a future where culture thrives. Rights are honored, and connection to the land remains sacred. This living legacy invites us to witness not just survival, but flourishing, a people steadfast and proud, rooted in their past and reaching boldly into tomorrow. The river's song flows endlessly, an ancient melody carrying memory, rebellion, and hope. For the Penobscot, the river is more than water moving through the land. It is a living witness to their history, a keeper of stories both joyful and painful, a reminder that despite everything, their spirit endures. Memory is the current beneath. The river's surface quiet but unstoppable. It holds the faces of ancestors, the echoes of ceremonies, and the laughter of children long past. It carries the grief of lost lands and broken promises, the scars left by betrayal and colonization. But memory is not just a burden, it is a source of strength. It fuels the Penobscot's refusal to be forgotten, their determination to keep their stories alive. Rebellion flows alongside memory, a defiant undercurrent resisting erasure and silence. The Penobscot's fight for recognition, for rights, for justice, is a rebellion rooted in love for their homeland and a sacred duty to their ancestors. It is the song sung by every voice raised in protest, every legal battle fought, every ceremony reclaimed from the shadows. This rebellion is not anger alone. It is hope made fierce, a promise that their culture and identity will survive and thrive. The river itself carries this rebellion, winding through forests and towns, past dams and pollution, whispering stories of resilience. It reminds the Penobscot that while the landscape may change, the spirit remains unbroken. The water's flow is a metaphor for their journey, sometimes slowed by obstacles, sometimes wild and untamed, always moving forward, looking to the future. The Penobscot embrace both challenge and possibility. They carry forward the wisdom of their ancestors while navigating a world transformed by technology, politics, and culture. Their path is one of renewal, reviving language, arts, and traditions, educating their youth, and protecting the land that sustains them. The river's song is a call to action, to remember, to resist, to rebuild. It invites the Penobscot and all who listen to honor the past while shaping a future where their culture thrives. This future is not a distant dream, but a living reality being crafted every day by the hands, voices, and hearts of the Penobscot people dot in this story of memory and rebellion. The river stands as a symbol of continuity and change. It flows through the bend where their ancestors settled, through the battles and treaties, through ceremonies and celebrations. It carries the tears and laughter of a people who refuse to vanish. The Penobscot's legacy is a testament to endurance rooted in land, spirit, and community. Their story challenges us to see history not as a distant record, but as a living force shaping our present and future. It calls us to listen deeply to the river's song, to the voices of the Penobscot, and to the lessons written in the earth and water. As the river moves toward the horizon, it invites us all to join in this journey of remembrance and renewal, to walk gently, to speak truth, and to protect the fragile beauty of the world we share. The Penobscot's river song is a gift, a reminder that in the flow of time, memory is rebellion, and rebellion is hope. This is not the end, but a beginning. The river's song continuing to echo, carrying the Penobscot spirit into a future shaped by courage, love, and unyielding connection to the land. The story flows on, as steady and eternal as the river itself.